The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good morning. China decries Rubio's smear. Chinese embassy says China does not force any country to take sides. National Security Minister Wayne Monroe defending the fire department's response to the downtown fire. And a new Commodore at the helm of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Friday, May 9th, 2025. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Farrell Goff will be here with us. Also this morning, our monthly Disability Awareness Series. Just in time for Mother's Day, we are talking about mothers with disabilities and with mothers with disabilities. And later, it's our Safe and Sound series in business. And with all the fires we've been seeing, we are talking about emergency response management, including fires in the workplace and at your home. It's all straight ahead this morning. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while you're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, a spokesperson for the Chinese embassy in the Bahamas denouncing comments made by United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who at a meeting in Washington, D.C. this week, cautioned Caribbean leaders on dealing with China. The embassy spokesperson saying Rubio sought to smear and undermine China's relations with the Caribbean countries. Specifically, Rubio urged Caribbean leaders to, quote, make responsible, transparent decisions when selecting vendors and contractors for critical infrastructure projects, ensuring that they are not vulnerable to piracy and privacy and security risks and exploitation by malign actors like the Chinese Communist Party. But the Chinese embassy spokesperson saying, quote, China firmly opposes these comments, which revealed ideological bias and disrespect and ignorance of the basic norms in international relations. China's cooperation with Caribbean countries, including the Bahamas, has always adhered to the principles of equality, mutual benefit, and win-win outcomes, delivering tangible benefits to the peoples of both sides. Chinese invested projects, whether ports or other facilities, aim to address local development needs, foster economic growth, and create economic employment opportunities. Well, there is significant Chinese interest in the Bahamas. Bahamar in Cable Beach is owned by Hong Kong conglomerate Chow Tai Fook Enterprises, and Margaritaville in downtown Nassau is owned by China Construction America. In Grand Bahama, the Hong Kong-based company CK Hutchison Holdings Limited owns a majority of the Freeport Container Port. Though it was announced in March, a deal was reached for sale of the port assets to BlackRock Inc. The Bahamas has also gotten various concessional loans from the Chinese over the years for infrastructure projects, and the government is currently finalizing an agreement with Export-Import Bank of China to fund a $290 million hospital on New Providence. And Chinese laborers are expected to work on the project as a condition of the loan, but details have not yet been announced. National Security Minister Wayne Munro defending the fire department's response to a fire that engulfed a portion of Victoria Court, the downtown Nassau apartment complex, where residents complained that it took over 2 hours for authorities to respond to their calls for help last week Thursday. Victoria Court is located on Victoria Avenue, just off Bay Street, where the fire started. Referring to the 2001 Straw Market fire on the western side of downtown, Munro said there were fears that a similar event might be unfolding, and firefighters were acting to prevent that. He was speaking on Guardian Radio Z Live off the record with Zhivargo Lang yesterday, saying, quote, there were discussions about how to position assets to guard against what could have been a catastrophic event. These were the things that the fire professionals were considering when they considered how to deploy their assets, apparatuses, and men. Munro said it took 8 minutes for firefighters to respond to the fire, which originated on Elizabeth Avenue and East Bay Street before spreading to Victoria Court. Residents of the apartment building said that once it caught fire, it took more than 2 hours for a truck to arrive from Lynden Pindling International Airport. They also reported that the truck did not have water and that the firefighters did not appear to be acting with urgency to save their building. A man who robbed a woman as she walked to work will spend 5 years in prison after he took a plea deal yesterday. 30-year-old Cecil Martin will have to stay out of trouble for 2 years following his release to avoid returning to prison for 1 year. Justice Dale Fitzpatrick handed down the sentence after Martin pleaded guilty to the July 3rd, 2024 street armed robbery. Martin has already spent 10 months in custody. The prosecutor, Corinne McVean, telling the court that around 7 a.m. on the day in question, Robin Outen was walking alone on West Bay Street to Margaritaville when a man wielding a cutlass demanded her handbag. Outen handed over her Michael Kors bag that contained a Guess wallet, $40 cash, and a phone charger. As Martin left, he slapped Outen on the side of her face with the cutlass. She screamed for help, alerting passers-by, and a short time later, a security guard caught Martin and recovered Outen's belongings. Martin was arrested and formally identified by his victim on July 6th. Floyd P. Moxey sworn in as the 9th Commodore of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force during a ceremony at the Coral Harbor base. Former Defense Force Commodore Dr. Raymond King stepped down yesterday after more than 30 years of service. Moxey thanked King for his steadfast service and the government for its confidence in him to lead the force. He said he hopes to accomplish several things during his tenure, including digitizing their personnel records, upgrading intelligence surveillance systems, and ensuring that the Defense Force is equipped for the challenge of a modern security environment. And Catholic Archbishop Patrick Pender says that he believes Pope Leo XIV will bring about a new era for the Catholic Church. Yesterday, the College of Cardinals elected Cardinal Robert Prevost as the 267th Pope. He made his debut in Vatican City on the second day of the conclave to elect a new pope following the death of Pope Francis. Pope Leo XIV is the first U.S.-born pope. At a press conference yesterday, Pender said the Catholic community is elated to have a new leader. Meanwhile, overseas, Pope Leo XIV, history's first, as we said, North American pope, saying today that his election was both a cross and a blessing as he celebrated his first Mass in Sistine Chapel. Leo spoke off the cuff in English to the cardinals who elected him to lead the Catholic Church and follow in Pope Francis's social justice-minded footsteps. He acknowledged the great responsibility they had placed on him before delivering a brief but dense homily on the need to joyfully spread Christianity in a world that often mocks it. It was the same frescoed chapel that Leo, the Chicago-born Augustinian missionary Robert Prevost, was elected Thursday afternoon as the 267th Pope, overcoming the traditional prohibition against a pope from the United States. Indian and Pakistani soldiers exchanging heavy volleys of shells and fire across their frontier in Kashmir overnight, killing at least 5 civilians in a growing military standoff that erupted following an attack on tourists in the India-controlled portion of the disputed Kashmir region. In Pakistan, an unusually intense night of artillery exchanges left at least 4 civilians dead and wounded 12 others in areas near the line of control that divides Kashmir. People in border towns said the firing continued well into this morning. In India, military officials said Pakistani troops barraged their posts overnight with artillery, mortars, and gunfire at multiple locations in Indian-controlled Kashmir. They said Indian soldiers responded, triggering fierce exchanges until early dawn. A woman was killed and 2 other civilians were injured in Uri sector, taking the civilian death toll in Indian-controlled Kashmir to 17 since Wednesday. Pakistan said Indian mortar and artillery fires killed 17 civilians in Pakistan-administered Kashmir in the same period. Indian authorities have evacuated tens of thousands of civilians from villages near the volatile frontier. Thousands of people slept in shelters for a second consecutive night. Russia marking the 80th anniversary of the defeat of Nazi Germany in World War II with a massive military parade on Red Square today, attended by President Vladimir Putin and foreign leaders, including Chinese President Xi Jinping and Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Victory Day, which is celebrated in Russia on May 9th, is the country's most important secular holiday. The parade and other ceremonies underline Moscow's efforts to project its global power and cement the alliances it's forged, while seeking a counterbalance to the West amid the conflict in Ukraine that has dragged into a 4th year. World War II, a rare event in the nation's divisive history under communist rule that is revered by all political groups, and the Kremlin has used that sentiment to encourage national pride and underline Russia's position as a global power. The Soviet Union lost 27 million people in what it calls the Great Patriotic War in 1941-45, an enormous sacrifice that left a deep scar in the national psyche. Speaking at the parade, Putin hailed Russian troops fighting in Ukraine, saying that, quote, "We are proud of their courage and determination, their spiritual force that always has brought us victory." In sports, it's safe to say that the Temple Christian Suns shone brightly at the 2025 Frank Pancho-Rabbing National Primary School Track and Field Championships, hauling away 4 division titles on the final day of competition at the original Thomas A. Robinson Track and Field Stadium. The Suns asserted their dominance in the girls 13 and under, boys 11 and under, boys 7 and under, and girls open divisions on day 3 of the meet. Temple Christian head coach Sherry Francis gave her thoughts on the team's performance, saying it was exciting to know that they were able to capture so many awards. The Suns maintained their 2-day advantage in the girls' 13 under age group, totaling 44 points overall. Lewis Yard Primary out of Grand Bahama recorded 34 points for second place, and Yellow Elder Primary capped off the top 3 with 22 points. Queens College Comets got a victory in the boys' age group with a leading mark of 34 points, followed by Low Sound Primary out of Andros, claiming the second point with 24 second spot with 24 points. Stephen Dillett amassing 19 points to tie for third place with the Temple Christian Suns. The Suns never relinquished control in the girls' open division. They racked up a whopping 40 points, take down the division crown. Freeport Gospel Chapel settling for second with 28 points. And Central Abaco, 4 points behind with 24 points. Cleveland Aeneas coming away with bragging rights in the boys' open division with a winning score of 36 points. Stephen Dillett, primary, second with 30 points, and Freeport Gospel Chapel falling to third with 28 points. And the Suns, again, a cut above the rest in the boys 11 and under division, stealing the show, collecting 41 points. Sunland Baptist Academy out of Grand Bahama coming second with 29 points, and Hugh Campbell Primary out of Grand Bahama with 23 points. Thelma Gibson Primary turning in a top total of 36.50 points in the girls 11 and under division. Sunland Baptist claiming second with 26, and Walter Parker Primary from Freeport stuck in third with 22. A close finish in the boys 7 and under age group, but the Suns clinching the division victory with 34 points. The Comets right on their heels with 32 points overall for second place, in Cleveland Aeneas securing the third podium spot with 25. And Low Sound Primary excelled in the girls' age group with 34 points. Suns falling to second place with 33, and Sims Primary School from Long Island finished third with 29. Grace Christian Academy climbing the ranks to nab the girls' 9 and under trophy with 28 points. Second, Freeport Primary with 25.50 points, and Aubrey Sale 21 points for third. The Comets wrapping up the boys' 9 and under division with 35 points. For first place, Cleveland Aeneas 24 points for second, and third place going to Low Sound Primary with 23 points. And Carlton Francis Primary turning in 18 points for the boys' 13 and under special education title. The record-breaking trend from day 2 continued on the track as a 3-day meet came to a close. Find out more about those records being broken in today's Guardian Sports section. From the NBA, the Minnesota Timberwolves were stewing over their rough start in Game 1 against Golden State. A reaction coach Chris Finch was pleased to see. Julius Randle had 24 points and 11 assists to help the Timberwolves capitalize on the Warriors' Stephen Curry's absence with a 117-93 victory Thursday night, last night, that tied the second round series at a game apiece. Anthony Edwards finished with 20 points after an injury scare for the Wolves, who more than tripled their three-point output, going 16 for 37 from their Game 1 loss, when Curry was sidelined by a left hamstring strain that will likely keep him out at least until next week. And we told you about the India-Pakistan conflict. Well, India's biggest domestic cricket tournament has been suspended for 1 week following the escalating military tensions with Pakistan. The Indian Premier League, which features top players from around the world and attracts hundreds of millions of TV viewers, immediate effect, that's according to the Board of Control for Cricket in India. The board saying in a statement that further updates regarding the new schedule and venues of the tournament will be announced in due course after a comprehensive assessment of the situation in consultation with relevant authorities and stakeholders. That decision comes after, as we told you, a night of artillery exchanges between Indian and Pakistani forces or soldiers across the frontier in Kashmir, amid a growing military standoff that erupted following an attack on tourists in the India-controlled portion of the disputed region. The IPL is the most popular cricket tournament in the world and runs between March and May. This year, it has featured 65 international cricketers from Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Sri Lanka, the West Indies, England, and Afghanistan. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. Weather brought to you by Joker's Wild Comedy Club. You've got a ridge of high pressure that's going to continue to support relatively dry and stable conditions while generating gentle to moderate breezes across the islands. High pressure ridge is expected to remain through the weekend, supporting these breezes and warm temperatures. But changes are coming. By Tuesday, a trough near the northern islands is expected to produce some shower activity over the northern and northwest Bahamas. Desperately needed shower activity. Until then, though, the public's advised to remain hydrated and wear protective clothing and sunscreen during extended periods outdoors, especially during peak sunlight hours between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. UV indices expected to be in the high range again today. For today, for most areas, look for mostly sunny conditions, turning fair and warm tonight. Only about a 10% chance of showers. Wind southeast to south at 10 knots or less, increasing to 10 to 15 knots by tonight for most of the country, but for the southeastern islands, easterly at 10 to 15 knots. Temperatures today, even warmer than yesterday, if you can imagine that. Highs around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have an extended outlook, taking a look at your weekend in just a bit. This weather check brought to you by Joker's Wild Comedy Club, the longest running entertainment venue ever in the Bahamas. Unfortunately, it's closing its doors after 35 years of bringing laughter to the country. To celebrate the very funny and talented Tommy Davidson will be the closing act from May 20th through 25th. Tickets are $50. Group rates are available for groups of 10 or more. For tickets, go to atlantisbahamas.com. Grab your friends and come out and have a great evening of laughs for the last time at Joker's Wild Comedy Club at Atlantis, May 20th through 25th.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up.
You are listening to Morning Blend. When we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on your home for fresh news and smart talk all day. 96.9.
It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
As a healthcare professional, you dedicate your life to caring for others. But even with the best care, legal challenges can arise. Protect your practice and your peace of mind with medical malpractice insurance from Star General. At Star General, we've partnered with Lloyd's of London to bring you comprehensive professional liability insurance designed specifically for those consulting or practicing privately. Visit our website today so you can focus on what you do best, caring for your patients, while we take care of the rest. Star General, insurance made simple.
Make this Mother's Day extra special with Kelly's House and Home's Mother's Day sale Friday, May 2nd through Saturday, May 10th. A beautiful selection of dinnerware, glassware, luggage, silk flowers, and picture frames, except on net items. These are all perfect and stylish gifts to show Mom just how much she's loved. Hurry in and take advantage of Kelly's House and Home's 20% off Mother's Day sale Friday, May 2nd through Saturday, May 10th. Happy Mother's Day, all with love from Kelly's House and Home.
Been off the WSC grid for over a year? Now's the time to come back and save big. For a limited time only, the Water and Sewage Corporation is offering up to 50% off reconnection fees for customers disconnected for more than 1 year. Don't miss this chance to reconnect and enjoy reliable, quality water service at a discounted rate. Call 302-5599 to learn more. Water and Sewage Corporation, dedicated to dependable, affordable water solutions.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
Do you have uncontrollable debt? Are you ready to make that move to Fidelity for a stress-free future? These loans have a built-in savings plan that pays you unbeatable interest. Ask about our debt consolidation loans today. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Welcome to Beauty Boutique. It's 20% off cash purchases today.
This fits perfectly. So does this, but I don't have enough cash.
Are you a CIBC Caribbean client?
I sure am.
Well, just first pay me.
Now we're talking. Can I try these shoes too?
For quick transfer with just an email, mobile number, or QR code, use First Pay from CIBC Caribbean. Visit CIBCCaribbean.com/ways to bank for more information.
Are you ready to elevate your day with a burst of flavor? Look no further than Dunkin', your ultimate destination for everything delicious. From our freshly brewed coffee that is sure to pick you up, to our signature frozen beverages that will cool you down. And don't forget our mouth-watering sandwiches, made to order all day. Dunkin' has it all. And of course, our lineup of fresh donuts, muffins, and more. Dive into a world of yummy flavors at Dunkin' and bring joy to your day. The Bahamas runs on Dunkin'.
The Cable Bahamas group of companies is proud of the incredible live fiber technicians and sales representatives do every day on the front line and behind the scenes. To our loyal customers, we thank you for believing in us as we've hit the 20,000 subscriber mark. We couldn't have done it without you. Not with us yet? What are you waiting for? Join the Alive Fiber family today. Visit alivefiber.com to sign up.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. Don't you know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day. 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 Wake up, wake up.
We are back with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Float Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Join me now on this Friday morning. We've got Farrell Goff.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Bahamas.
Great to see you again.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Great to have you. All right, we've got a lot to talk about this morning. A lot going on in the world, but also on the show today, our Disability Awareness Series, which you normally do the first week of the month, but we have it today. And just in time for Mother's Day, we are highlighting the challenges mothers with disabilities face in raising their children.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
A lot of people probably don't think about that.
Right? Yeah, so you're going to think about that today in just a bit. Later in business, our monthly Safe and Sound series, we're talking about emergency response management, especially in light of the fires we're seeing, and what you need to do to protect your business if you are a worker or the boss. Some helpful tips that you're going to need as we are still in the fire season here in the Bahamas. All right, so that's all ahead, but let's begin with what else is in the news. And in the news, I think it came as a surprise that it came as early as it did, but we saw the white smoke out of the Vatican yesterday, and we have a new pope, Pope Leo the 14th, and very exciting as he is the first North American pope, the first pope from the U.S.
It's major.
Yeah, people were saying this forever that would never happen.
This is major.
But here we are. Here we are.
Dwight, and I think a lot of folks are just wondering what will this mean for the next 10, 20, however long this new pope sits in the position, right?
Yeah.
Westerners, they tend to do things very different, so there's a lot of questions swirling around.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, there's an interesting article in the Nassau Guardian today. The Catholic Archbishop for the Bahamas, Patrick Pinder, saying that he believes this is going to bring a new era for the Catholic Church. Archbishop Pinder saying, quote, "We do believe," well, he says that every new pope is a new era for the Catholic Church. We do believe that he certainly will embrace the best that Pope Francis had, but I don't think his pontificate will be an imitation of Pope Francis. The characters are very different. You can see that he does not have the same kind of personality as Pope Francis, but I do believe that he certainly will bring forward the best of the previous pontificate and also bring what his own charisma to the office of the papacy is. We in the Roman Catholic community are very happy that we now, following the death of Pope Francis, have a new pope. All right. Pinder expressing admiration for Pope Leo's extensive Catholic history, including his education in the United States, missionary work in Peru, and work in the Augustinian order. Pinder spoke on some concerns he previously heard about the election of a U.S. pope, but remained optimistic about what is to come. This is what you were talking about just now, right? So
that's all I'm saying.
Archbishop Pinder is saying there was always a reluctance, in a sense, for the College of Cardinals to elect an American pope because America is a superpower. And the concern would have been that particular superpower is too great an influence. Obviously, thoughts are shifting. Well, speaking of the possible benefits of the newly elected pope that these might bring to the Bahamas and the broader Caribbean, Pinder indicated that will come with time. He said, quote, "The church, as you know, is a global institution, and we'll have to wait and see. One of the responsibilities we have as Bishop Pope, we call them the ad limina meetings, and certainly in preparation for those meetings, we'll have an opportunity to share our concerns and, of course, to hear what his views might be." Well,
so much mystery surrounding the Catholic Church, and they've been able to maintain that for centuries. It's just from the smoke, the color of the smoke, the way the cardinals, the process of the cardinals. I'm curious. I would love to be a fly on the wall to understand how they deliberate, and actually select.
And who else?
This great position.
Who else was in the running, right? And who else was close?
There's so much secrecy
that would be
and mystery surrounding it.
Quite amazing to know. So let's get your reaction to it, folks. A lot of people, I heard the commentary on some of the media outlets from other parts of the world yesterday.
Has Trump responded yet? I mean, it must be
I think he said it was a great
huge victory for him. You know how he's going to spin that in.
Yeah,
he made
that's
it
what
happen.
he said. He said, "Oh, that's
we're
great,
going to do
America.
great things together." And
he did see that as a win. But many are wondering, will the changes that Francis hoped to bring about, will they continue? Will there be any movement on women becoming priests? Will there be any changes in terms of whether priests will be allowed to marry? Any of that kind of stuff. And those are the big questions that people have about moving the church forward.
Those are massive steps.
Absolutely. And of course, dealing with some of the scandals they've had, where will they go from there? 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Call us toll free, 242-300-5720. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Caller, good morning. What say you on this?
Excuse me, pardon me for that. Look, all he did is like in a way so long with you and
Farrell.
Farrell?
Yes.
Okay, Farrell, Dwight.
Thank you.
Dwight, the majority of people in this country don't you think, including Wayne Monroe, those people that's in authority, they only say us. You know what you want to hear them? They're jiving. They're hiding the Bahamian people. So they need to get out of people's face. Thank you.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's a nice contribution to the discussion of the new pope.
There you go. I guess that's life continues whether there's a new pope or not.
I know for a lot of non-Catholics though, Dwight, the scandals, those sexual scandals are huge, right? Like in many of our minds, we think, okay, is someone going to come in who's actually going to deal with it, right? In the way that we would like it dealt with, not necessarily the way it would have to happen within a very rigid and structured system, called the Catholic Church, right? It's not that straightforward, right? But we want them to go in and clean house, but I am curious. I am very curious to see what will be the priorities for a Western American pope, right? Who's just our way of life is a bit different here, right? We tend to be a bit more rash and
the whole Western Hemisphere.
Not the whole Western Hemisphere, but the Americans, right? So it's
what I heard with the discussions. They were saying that the Americans are perceived as being very organized and punctual, and that might be needed to help organize and structure the church better. And so that was one of the benefits they saw. Not that cowboy attitude coming in there, but just the love of structure. And apparently that might be an issue with some Europeans and some leaders from other parts of the world.
Who may have more laid back
approach. We'll do it. We'll get to it. Enjoy.
Nobody dying.
Right.
Get off my back.
Let's have some tea. I don't know. Let's take one more call on this, and there's a whole lot more to talk about this morning. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah. Good morning, Dwight, and good morning to your co-host this morning.
Good morning.
Grammy Boy GNN. I listened to the minister intently yesterday. I went in my chambers and I came back out with my summation this morning. And while the minister was correct about a lot of things, the minister was definitely disingenuous about a lot of stuff that he was saying, like the 8 minutes. I sat and I listened on the day live and of action. I heard Mr. Craig Flowers said he stood there for an hour and a half before the engines engaged. I heard people say live that it took the engine from the airport at least an hour to get there. They had to be called. And 8 minutes, the minister said, I don't think that was totally correct.
All right, so, and he tried to explain that, if you're talking about Wayne Monroe on Javargo Lang's show yesterday, right? So he was saying, and there's nothing to dispute this, that yes, 8-minute response to where the fire originated from, but not necessarily to Victoria Court.
Yeah,
and so,
who don't go to the point of impact or whatever? You don't go to a plane crash card for sick and then start from way out west and way out east. You go to the area of impact, and then you find out from there if necessary. He was not. It is high tide in this country.
I mean, I don't know if you can say that, right? So you probably need to do both if you have the resources, right? Go to where the impact, where it happened, and try to put it out before it spreads. But you also want to get to the places so it doesn't get to that.
Well, I am happy that you engage in that way, Dwight. Do we have the resources?
Well, that's what's
the
been
question I
called
asked
the
you.
question. Right. I can't answer it. And by the looks of what happened downtown last week, it is we are stretched. Right?
Yes,
we are challenged.
Yes, we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Dwight, I employ Bahamians at this stage of our independence and development that we really analyze what these politicians and people are saying, and as Bahamians, and we really need to be honest. And not disingenuous towards our country, because at this rate, Dwight, we ain't gonna have no country. Thanks for taking my call.
Okay, all right. Well, the people don't seem to want to talk about the Pope. So
Not at all.
let's move on to that then. This is Wayne Monroe defends his response to downtown Nassau. Our Rachel Scott writing about that in today's Nassau Guardian. As we told you, he was on Z Live yesterday. A very interesting couple of hours there. But Wayne Monroe yesterday defended the fire department's response to the fire that engulfed a portion of Victoria Court, the downtown Nassau apartment complex, where residents complained that it took over 2 hours for authorities to respond to their calls for help last Thursday night. Referring to the 2001 straw market fire on the western side of downtown, Monroe said there were fears that a similar event might be unfolding, and firefighters were acting to prevent that. So I think he's saying that spread to many other buildings, and they didn't want that to happen, so they were fighting to contain the fire. But embers were flying, and it was a windy night.
Yeah, absolutely, which is the worst combination.
Yep, absolutely. And it's been very, very dry, so that fire spread.
Very quickly.
Very quickly. Monroe said it took 8 minutes for firefighters to respond to the fire, which originated on Elizabeth Avenue and East Bay Street before spreading to Victoria Court. Residents of the apartment building said that once it caught fire, it took more than 2 hours for a truck to arrive from Lyndon Pinling International Airport, and they reported that that truck did not have any water and that firefighters did not appear to be acting with urgency to save the building. So Monroe says that those residents may not have been seeing the bigger picture. He said, when pressed on the issue yesterday, quote, "The people at Victoria Court will want response at Victoria Court. The fire services are concerned with the fire. Ooh, if it's your property, you will be concerned about your property. The fire service is concerned about more than Victoria Court. Most of Western Bay Street burnt down in the 2001 fire, and you cannot be concerned as the fire chief with only one thing. If you're concerned about a fire spreading west on Bay Street, going up to Hoffers and along there, if you're concerned about it spreading south to First Caribbean, the CIBC branch there, and the hospital, you will deploy your assets accordingly. If people are talking about when they started to deal with Victoria Court, they may be absolutely correct. The fire services were on scene addressing the fire that did not spread west of Elizabeth Avenue, that did not spread to CIBC, that did not spread to the hospital. They were addressing that fire from 8 minutes after it started. He said firefighters have to make a judgment on what properties or lives are at risk. He said, quote, "Who will not be making that judgment ought not to be the commissioner, somebody who's personally involved in it, somebody other than the fire chief or the fire professionals." Monroe was asked whether his explanation of the decisions that were made indicates a lack of sufficient resources to fight large and multiple fires. He said, quote, "When you seek to denigrate a service by saying they didn't come for hours and they ran out of water when they were pumping from the sea, it is legitimate to say, I think you should be addressing my situation. You could have a discussion over that, and you could have a discussion over what level of resources you need. If 20 things break out, you could adequately cover the 20, but it is not accurate or honest or appreciative of the service of these men who were there."
Yeah, we know Minister Monroe has a very direct way of communicating, but it is true. I mean, if you're there, if you're personally impacted, you are going to see it from your perspective, right? Your property, the important things to you, your building, whatever it may be, is the epicenter of that entire incident, right? Yeah. As far as you're concerned, right? And it may be the residents of Victoria Court, but there is a holistic approach to firefighting, right? Mm-hmm. Decisions have to be made. We do not have the resources to completely surround a fire of that size, with multiple 4 or 5 different engines. So it's decisions have to be made, Dwight.
Yeah.
And someone will be able to criticize those decisions, right, as far as they're concerned, because I feel like you didn't prioritize me because you started from the east and I'm in the west. Yeah. What about the west? Nobody was here. We were waiting here in the west. Y'all was in the east. Why y'all didn't? So I get it. I mean, it's a very unfortunate situation. These things aren't planned.
Yeah. Well, this is why the type of discussion we're going to have today later in our business hours is so important. Emergency response management. Yeah. While you wait for the authorities, what can you be doing? And it's hard in a high-rise apartment complex as opposed to a single-story house, right, where you could get your hose out. And
well, even then, Dwight, a single story house
could be challenged,
depending on what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Some of these things, they happen so quickly.
Yep.
And sometimes you just got to get out more than anything else, right?
Right.
So it's easy. I mean, it's easy to criticize it, Dwight. I get it, and it's easy to personalize. You're part of that situation as well. But I think, the minister is trying to defend his team, rightfully so, right? These guys, they probably risk a lot out there doing what they do, right? But I do think we probably have a resource challenge for incidences of that magnitude.
Indeed. All right. And the phone lines are all lit up. Let's go to the phones and we'll get to your text messages in a bit. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Strawn. Good morning, Farrell.
Hi. Good morning.
Yeah, Farrell, you don't have to be so euphemistic. Mr. Strawn, some quick comments here. I was like what GNN was saying also, but the thing is, GNN was really showing you what was going on with the fire hydrants as far as underneath the ground as being tied into a plumbing system, right? And so when we look at the inadequacies and all of the misinformation, disinformation, I think some of it's intentional, right? But like I said many times on the radio, most of us really don't understand what the government's duty is. That is to lie to the people. It's over
What
and over.
now?
You go all over the world. It's the same thing. Now,
I mean, okay, but a duty, though? Is that their duty? They might do it, but that doesn't...
You have an opinion, but I just want to get on with some other comments as far as it relates to the Pope and national security and the inefficiencies that I'm observing at my age in this human journey in this Bahamas. We have a lot of problems here. I don't care to comment on the Pope.
Well, I was going to ask you, what's the role of the Pope? If the role of the government is to lie to the people, what's the role of the Pope?
I don't think you want to know.
The Pope done, his legacy is a legacy of lies, okay? I don't want to
Why
get
did
into
you
it
go
because the Negro mind is being raped. I look to the east.
Oh, boy.
Dwight, hold on, Dwight, let me express myself, please. Can I express myself, please? I look to the east, okay? I don't look to a Pope. Because all right, if I'm wrong, read some of the thesis from Martin Luther, the German reformer, who was within the entity. I don't have time to talk about the Pope. The Pope means spiritually absolutely nothing to me. You got to forgive me for that. I don't know who want to adhere to the beat. Listen, all right, I like to comment on national security. The sporadic, unabated migration that is taking place in this country. And we had the Minister of National Security on, and nobody asked him anything about it. Now, reports are coming in from Harbour Island about the unabated migration in that island and the crisis that we're facing in all of our chain of islands. And we have these people coming on with semantics and pomp and pageantry as if they are God's gift, their brains is God's gift to the world, okay? It is sickening for me because we must address this problem, Mr. Strawn. I don't know if you have children, but I do. And this problem is getting out of hand. And the same way they can deny what you're actually saying. They're gaslighting us on this migrant crisis. The government needs to... I don't be into the PSYOPs operation for a little immigration raid here and there. But being you and our offsprings, we will suffer the consequences of being inactive, passive, docile, and ignorant. Okay? We're ignorant about religion and all. I don't need to hear nothing but the Pope. I don't have hope in the Pope.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
That's just the way it is, yeah.
Thank you very much.
If we don't even have our own minds, how could the Pope help me? He can't. He's actually a part of the problem because you could go and read the history of the Roman papacy. That's what we need to do. Let's stop fooling ourselves in this human journey.
Okay.
Thank you, caller. Yeah. There's a lot. Very positive gentleman.
Oh, boy. Wow. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, well, good morning.
Hi. Good
morning.
First of all, I look at Monroe as a failed minister, and he's not doing a good job as the National Security Minister, and he needs to take off his defense hat, just same as PM Davis, take off their defense hat and stop trying to defend everything. That two things can be right at the same time. He's the same person that said that our fire branch is adequately resourced to deal with whatever situations come about, and that's just a blatant, dishonest fact. People were live streaming from the ground as the inadequacies of the fire department of that night. So his revision of facts, he can do all the spinning and whatever it is the case may be. But persons were live streaming at what happened as it happened, right? And first he says they have adequate resources, then they have to order 15 or 20 fire trucks. And did I read correctly that whenever the fire truck leaves the airport, the airport is shut down? It's like, is no one going to address that issue, and that's like a Pandora's box waiting to happen? It's like, and did we also even forget that over the past couple of days, there's almost been a murder every day? It's like we have so many security issues in this country, along with the fire issue. So instead of them being tone deaf to the issues and the plight of people who lost their homes and telling them they complain or they this or that or whatever, just say, you know something, I'm sorry that happened. Their homes, the fire services are stretched. We need to get more resources and stop trying to defend and deflect and villainize people. We're trying to speak their mind. People lost their homes because, guess what? The fire truck came with no water or whatever. That's facts. So stop trying to demonize people. And the quicker he leaves, the better. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. All right. I've got a lot of passionate calls this morning. Take a few more of these before we have to take a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Dwight, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
And good morning, Mr. Goff. How are you doing? Welcome back.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning.
All right. I think to answer, I think Dwight asked the question. I have to agree with Mr. Goff. I think when a fire happens in your business or your home, I think the best thing to do, I mean, it'd be good if you could save your house, right, or save your business, right, but the best, safest thing to do is to get out. Get your pets and your family and get out. I know you won't get your passport, you won't get your keys and everything, but the best, safest thing to do is to get out. I don't know what the youth guard do, and I don't know if they can play a role, if the minister help them to play a role with, like, emergency matters, like fires and different things, hurricanes and different things. I thought that's what they was trained for. I was wondering, like, if the government, at least I don't want to encourage the government to do some of those PPP things with the chip on getting some fire engines and stuff. We don't have to wait till something serious. I think we don't have enough disasters and things. I know that we need enough fire engines, ambulance, and helicopters. I don't know why we can't do something like that. Private partnership, all them rich people. I don't know if your guys are aware that the Creative Alliance, those people that scam thing, they carry about $50 million from the Bahamian people. So money out there. So we could get helicopters and fire engines and stuff. We could work with the government, private partnership, or just for the number, boys. I'll hang up and listen.
Okay. Thank you. There's a lot there. Thank you. Another call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning to you, Dwight and Goff.
Good morning. Good morning.
I am concerned about an issue here. The Pope, leave that alone. I remember when I had a submersible pump and I pumped water from the sea. And I didn't clean the pump because, the pump is the part that has the impeller in it. And it seized up because I didn't clean it, take it apart and clean it. And I'm wondering if the firemen are doing the same thing when they use these pumps and pump water from the sea. The pump is that there's the motor and there's the pump. There's the part that does the pumping. And if you don't clean those pumps, the salt is going to damage the pump. And that's additional expense, pumping from the sea and not doing the repair work afterwards. Do they clean these pumps after they pump all this water from the sea?
I don't know if we could answer that directly, but I would hope something as important as that for a fire department. The device that provides the water, that they have regular maintenance and cleaning.
Or they just throw it away and buy a new one.
I would hope they have regular maintenance.
That's a good question. When we have them on the show, we'll ask them. We'll ask them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We want to squeeze these in. Yeah, let's get these calls in quickly. Good morning, caller. You are on the air live.
Hey, good morning, Dwight and Furrow.
Good morning.
Yeah, Dwight. When we can see our minister trying to defend the fire branch, right? I mean, it shows we are not growing as a people, right? Because after all of these fires we was having, I have yet to hear if there's a person with that name, right, existent. I've yet to hear the fire chiefs speak on any of these matters or any of these fires. So, I mean, that's how it used to be back in the day. If you all have the memory to remember, the fire chief used to speak. But why are we seeing that the minister and the commissioner have to be speaking on you know why? And they believe we don't know, right? Because they have to protect what people might have to say about their governance.
Well, I don't know if that's fair. So the fire person, I don't know who that, I don't even remember the name, but I think that person speaks at the scene. Has been speaking at the scene, but have they been on any shows, any talk shows, or given any interviews? But it all does fall under the commissioner.
I don't know
the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
I was going to say I don't know the official protocol of the government in those departments, right? But it would be beneficial, I believe, considering what's happening of late, to speak to the actual expert.
I don't
right?
think we'd be denied if we asked for that person to speak.
Yeah, the person who runs the operation actually on the ground, and who can possibly even better help the public understand certain strategies that will use.
I don't think they're trying to be silent or being silenced. I don't think that's the case at all. So that's not. And Wayne Monroe was invited on that show yesterday, and this was a hot topic.
Obviously.
If there hadn't been any fires, it would have been another issue. It's not that he is out there doing PR and spreading propaganda. Not at all. But he was the guest on the show. Boy, everybody's
fires, the thing
pessimistic these days.
Well, Dwight, the thing we got to remember about fires, though, they are incredibly unpredictable.
Yeah.
It's almost like they have a mind of their own. And you add certain elements, like you said, intense dryness. Look around you, everything is brown.
Oh my gosh!
And like it's almost burnt, right? So you add that to wind.
Yeah, it's been very windy.
It's just a difficult situation.
Recipe for disaster.
Very unfortunate situation.
Wow, and still not stopping people from flicking their cigarettes out onto the hay-like lawn, right?
Ready
it's
to
still
catch.
happening.
Ready to catch.
And we really have to, as a previous caller said, stop just talking and be more responsible and responsive. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Turn on your radio for us, please.
Morning, Dwight. Good morning, Farrell.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Very interesting conversation this morning. I love how you said this is a very hot topic, no pun intended. I think the way how we need to now look at how we're going to attend to things such as this is a two-pronged approach. First and foremost, yes, we rely on the Bahamas government, i.e. the Royal Bahamas Police Force in terms of the fire branch. But we also have to look at ourselves as citizens to help better protect that which we have. What do I mean by that? It's simply this. I think now, I know some time ago, the Royal Bahamas Police Force Fire Branch used to do sessions with citizens, whereas they would teach you the basic fire techniques. I believe that communities such as the gated communities, even those who living in the ordinary communities, if there was a program that they can put on, whereas you got the volunteer firefighters, such as what we see in Abaco, those persons who, especially who's interested in learning the basic of firefighting and stuff. Now, some people would say, well, that's what we have a fire branch for. But you have to realize that there are more citizens out here than on the fire branch. And two, we are equipped with the basic stuff as pools and our own water resources that can assist, especially if we spot a fire that is small or something that is happening, we can respond to it, and while we call for help for the other persons to come. But I would like to see more programs where we are empowered to more than where we are now. I think that would be a great help and a great asset for us to protect our properties, protect lives, protect our animals, and so on and so forth. So that's just a thought that I want to put out there.
But empowered by whom? Because you could do that. You could do that now. The people like Gamal Nuri is going to be on later who are doing this too. Private people who are teaching and helping to get you prepared. So, who do you want? Do you want the government to do that?
I would say, Dwight, basically, empowered in terms of the people. But like I said, I know for a fact because I did do a few courses. When I say courses, a few basic firefighting techniques with the Royal Bahamas Fire Branch some time ago, and they have stuck. The different classifications of fires, what to use on those fires, so on and so forth. But you don't hear anything much about it. But like I'm saying, we have, I guess, now, especially with the implementation and the explosion of conversations as it pertains to high rises. We're talking about 3, 4, 5 stories now. How are we going to attack those if we can't even attack the fires at the single level structure? We just had a case in point with a fire at Bahama. About a year or two ago, way up in the air. And it's amazing how they got that fire out. And I'm not meaning to call out Bahama in particular, but it's the most recent high rise that I can remember. And it was way up, 10, 11, 12 stories. I mean, how are we now going to, with the resources that we have, how are we now going to attack something like that, even 18, 19, 20 stories, if we can't even adequately approach the single or the two-story? We have to deploy our people, we have to empower them properly, that they can really help to help to avoid a potential disaster if we would do a couple of basic things that may help to quell the situation. That's what I'm saying. We need to empower the people a little better. You know, this conversation go on and on and on. I'm pretty sure there are others who have their take on it, but we have to develop a better program where the citizenry can become more involved. And I keep on referring in my last closing statement, the volunteer Abaco firefighters, I have to commend them for what they are doing. You know, we can do the same thing here. You know, but thanks for taking my call. I'll continue to listen.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a decent, public education program called campaign, right? I mean, just television, social media, newspaper, just some guidelines on what to do. Right? So it's not necessarily say the government should do it, but it's just, I think it would be timely.
All right. Let's take this call. Good morning, call. You're on the air.
Morning.
Hi.
Morning, Dwight and Farrow.
Good morning.
Morning, Dwight. A couple of weeks ago, I had questioned the amount of money spent on building the new Coconut Grove clinic. Right? I said it should actually be like a two-story, in case you have space, in case something happens. Just recently, when the fire started, one of their questions was how to contain this fire from getting to the hospital. God forbid, in the event the hospital were to caught on fire, because there are a lot of oxygen gases and stuff around the hospital. What's their game plan? As far as where they're going to move stuff to. For example, recently they just renovated the Elizabeth Clinic Hospital, our clinic, and for a $2.7 million. There was no X-ray room added, no room for dialysis, So all of the strain is still on the same major hospital. So they must be thinking now, what's the game plan in event of something happens, we have to move the hospital. That's why I said before, all of those clinics should be in a two-story. Even if there are empty rooms upstairs, at least you can make some provision. If you have got to move patients or divert the room into the other emergency room. I think if the Chinese had actually tried a plan, that may have been like a two-story clinic. They have to start thinking, provide space, because you can always utilize the space later. Take some of the strain off the Princess Margaret Hospital.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Let's do this. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight.
Hi.
And to Farrell, I believe.
Yeah, good morning.
You guys are smarter than me. What's the tallest ladder we have in our fire department? Understanding we may have to rescue someone from a balcony at one of these high buildings. You do the research and let the people know. That'll be interesting. But I'll wrap up with this. What do you think's more important? A fire truck with a tall ladder, an ambulance, or putting some paint on the 25-cent piece? What do you think's more important? And how many millions did we spend to put the paint on the 25-cent piece? Rich people do crazy things, gentlemen.
Do you think it was millions?
I don't know. You think it was 20,000? How much was it? Because when you find out what that cost, you might want, and you can do the research today and tomorrow let us know, we spent XYZ on painting a 25-cent piece, which could have gotten 1, 2, 3, 20 fire trucks. I don't know. Do the math and let us know. 17 million in drones. You think the drones could put out the fire? Or maybe we should have bought the fire trucks with the 17 million.
I'm sure there are drones with the capability to do some stuff.
Yes, there are. Mm-hmm. And why didn't we get those drones instead of whatever we got that who knows where they are? See, the problem is the priority. You need medical and fire. Throughout 17 million on drones, and you bust up a XYZ on painting a 25-cent piece. Obama, Trump, Trudeau, Nobody could paint up a quarter in the world except us. We dead rich guys. Let's use the money to fix the Bahamas. Have a good one.
The quarter is pretty, though. You don't like it?
And she looked good. She looked
Yeah.
good, though. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, it's
but
great.
how does that burnt down building look?
Well.
Yeah, have a good one,
Oh, boy.
Dwight. Thanks for taking the call.
Thanks a lot. Things that make you go, All right. We got a lot of your text messages. We'll get to that. And we want to talk about the big headline of the paper today, China's response to what Marco Rubio has been saying about them. We'll get to that after the break and after the news. This is Morning Blend on a Friday. Thank God it's Friday. And thank the Pope that it's Friday. No. Gosh.
He's the highest representative for God on earth, right? I mean, I'm just saying.
We're going to get struck by lightning. This is, we'll be back here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
Burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire, the ring of fire.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
Got your first look at traffic for the morning, brought to you by RBC. With RBC, reaching your goals happens here. In your real-time traffic, we've got Milo Butler Highway. We've got heavy traffic, as usual, from the Fire Trail roundabout straight up to Tawny Williams Darling Highway if you're in the northbound lanes. Some building traffic south of the Fire Trail roundabout on Milo Butler northbound as well right now. Over on Gladstone Road's a totally different story, looking much better as an alternate route for you. Just until you get north of Munnings Road, you're going to see a bit of traffic in front of you heading towards the roundabout with Bahamar Boulevard. Blue Hill Road, busy for you once you get north of Soldier Road if you're heading northbound towards the roundabout with Independence Drive. Over on East Street, also busy north of the Soldier Road intersection on the way to the East-West Highway roundabout. And some building traffic westbound on Independence Drive. Robinson Road, slow moving from the Prince Charles Soldier Road intersection straight up to Old Trail if you're heading westbound. And along Prince Charles Drive, the major intersection, some slow moving traffic. Eastern Road, looking a bit busy for you from about High Vista to just west of Johnson Road if you're heading westbound. And those are your hotspots right now. That's your real-time traffic and your morning blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC. With RBC, your ideas happen here. And we've got another check of your weather brought to you by Star General. We've got a ridge of high pressure that will continue to support relatively dry and stable conditions while generating gentle to moderate breezes. That's going to continue for the next few days, but we are expecting some changes by late Monday into Tuesday. A trough near the northern islands expected to bring some shower activity to the northern and northwestern Bahamas. In the meantime, everyone's being advised to wear protective clothing and remain hydrated and use sunscreen during peak daylight hours today, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., as UV indices are expected to be in the high range again. Your forecast for today, mostly sunny, turning fair and warm tonight across most areas. Less than a 10% chance of showers, highs near 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. For your weekend, your extended outlook for Saturday, tomorrow, partly sunny during the day, becoming fair at night. Still less than a 10% chance of a stray shower or two. Pretty much the same for Sunday. Monday, the changes begin. We've got partly cloudy conditions across the northwest and northern Bahamas, partly sunny over the rest of the country. Rain chances increase to about 20% for the northern and northwest Bahamas. By Tuesday, partly cloudy again over the northern, northwest, and central Bahamas. Partly sunny for the southeastern islands. Rain chances up to almost 40% for most of the country by Tuesday. And a mix of sun and clouds by Wednesday. That's your morning blend weather check brought to you by Star General Insurance, made simple. We'll be back with more morning blend after the news here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Since 1989, Joker's Wild Comedy Club has been the heart of laughter in the Bahamas. But now an era is coming to a close. Tommy Davidson, along with featured comedian Kirk Green and house comedian Naughty. Don't miss your last chance to experience the magic. May 20th to the 25th, Joker's Wild Comedy Club. Admission $50. Get your tickets now at Atlantis, Bahamas/events.
Maybe it's time to explore your options. There's no harm in reviewing your mortgage arrangement and considering a better deal. CIBC Caribbean can help you narrow your search and decide. Switch your mortgage to CIBC Caribbean and enjoy a special interest rate and help towards your switching cost. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/inspired home for more information. Conditions apply.
Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burned.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Farrell Goff. Coming up in just a few minutes, our Disability Awareness Series. Just in time for Mother's Day, we are talking with mothers with disabilities, mothers with children with disabilities, and highlighting them and talking about the challenges today. That's coming up in just a couple of minutes. Later in business, it's our Safe and Sound series. We're talking about emergency response management, especially in light of the fires we've been seeing over the past few weeks. We want to get through these text messages that we got based on what we were talking about earlier in the show. The National Security Minister's appearance on Z Live yesterday. Some interesting comments coming out of that, people's reaction to that. And we were talking about the new Pope as well, Pope Leo the 14th. And
didn't get much calls about that, though.
No, the people don't seem to be
clearly Minister Monroe
on that run.
Touched a nerve.
Yeah. All right, so let's read these messages. This person says here, they need to come to us with a record of every single call received by the police about the downtown fire, the time every single fire truck was dispatched, from where, the time they reached Bay Street, and where they were located. I'm exasperated with the constant word games from the Prime Minister and Minister of National Security. I was not dreaming. I heard the police commissioner give a sober account of the fire engine response time, and they put that in quotation marks. At no time did she say the fire engine was on the scene in 7 minutes. Her timeline matched user reports of an hour response, 1 hour response time. If telling the nation that the response time is based on a person reaching a site, that is ridiculous. A person cannot respond to a fire without firefighting equipment. Secondly, you cannot say a response was adequate because they saved Bay Street but allowed Victoria Avenue South to burn. The truth is the response was inadequate, but the brave and hardworking men made the best decision they could with the limited resources they had 5 years into this administration. Well, not quite 4 yet, but sure, I hear you. Getting close. You have a recording with the police commissioner giving a step-by-step account of calls and response time. Please play it and consider the plausibility of what Monroe said. Fire trucks coming down Bay Street with sirens blaring and people through the corner didn't hear it. This is simply not possible. The residents did not say the fire truck was on Bay Street. They said it wasn't there. It was later in the evening when they said the fire truck arrived in Victoria Avenue and then redirected to Bay Street has revealed the need for a public inquiry into this event. Wow, boy. This person says here, you know what our problem is in this country? We make everything political. When our party is in, we are silent, but when our party is out, everyone is vocal. That's why nothing will ever get fixed in this country. All the callers this morning were being political. Our people hate to hear the truth. They love when politicians lie to them.
We are very politically divided. Yeah. And it tends to drive our interests and our sense of urgency depending on if a certain party's in power or not, which is unfortunate. It definitely impacts our national progress.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dwight and Farrell, I watched California and Miami-Dade just recently almost burned to the ground, and they have all the equipment you could have. Please tell some of your callers, at least say thank you to the firefighters for trying. In California, they honored the firefighters.
I mean, I hope that anybody's calling in, they don't discount the effort and the risk that those gentlemen and ladies possibly subject themselves to in response to these type of incidents. I hope nobody's dismissing that.
Mm-hmm. Remind the Bahamian people that the cost of coins and notes does not come from the public coffers, nor can the government use money from the central bank.
It's a good distinction. Mm-hmm. Considering the conversation we were having earlier.
Proper information requests to the right institutions can cure ignorance. Let Graham know that the central bank paid for the coins, and they would be happy to answer his questions. So they clearly are listening and send these messages. Let Graham know that the initial contract was $17 million for drones, and that was canceled after the initial delivery. Oh, that's interesting.
It's good to clarify.
Oh, boy. Are we sure that the new chief of the Defense Force is a progressive pick? What now? Okay. And then they say, let's see how it goes.
We got to give the gentleman time. Sufficient time.
Have any reporters inquired as to whether Wayne Monroe is seeking re-election? Surely he can't be. That's a text.
Oh, my goodness, boy. It's a rough day. Rough day for him.
Oh, boy. Everyone's going to need the weekend to regroup.
They generally bounce back, though.
What? To the same way they were? Yeah, right.
Jamie's memories are short, so something else next week.
This person says here, this is a long one. The implementation of a youth branch to assist with firefighting, etc., is useless and just hot air. Well, they were supposed to be doing a lot of other things, and there were supposed to be jobs that came out of that, so people might not be assigned to the branches you are thinking after they've complete the program. And if they're in training, they're not going to be much help out on a disaster scene.
You need trained professionals at that point.
I don't think people were paying. They've been on the show a number of times. I don't know if you're paying attention to the things they're saying, right? That's not a situation like this. But anyway, while it is a good idea, it is meaningless because there is a lack of equipment. What would they have done but stand up and look at the fire? Tell me, what would they have done? Well, even the professionals were apparently doing that, according to some of the residents in the area, right? Fire trucks with no ladders shows the pathetic, visionless, careless attitudes towards what can move us forward. Mindless expenditures has destroyed this country, aided by selfish, ignorant, and self-absorbed, sponge-brained politicians, past and present. My goodness gracious. The country's administration sickens me to the heart and soul. Insurrection is good sometimes. What? Because only death will retire these jokers from the deceptive. And then there's expletives. Oh, my goodness. They won't do a call chronology of the emergency calls on the fire at the fire department. This is an example of their duties being lies. They lied and kept that from the public, that they don't have the resources. All the callers were political. Okay.
Yeah, Dwight, it's important to as citizens, as hard as it may be, that we realize that the Bahamas government, regardless of whichever party's in power, they don't have a blank check, right? There's a certain amount of money allocated every year they take in, and they have to decide, where do we spend it? How do we, as best that we can, to keep the country running, first and foremost, and possibly to push certain things forward, right? And make progress. But it's... You cannot purchase everything. A little country like this and we don't bring in a tremendous amount of tax dollars, believe it or not, compared to some of the larger developed countries as a percentage of GDP. I'm just saying this is real. So here you have to decide, where do we spend the money?
Right. So I think that's what the concerns of some people are, right? That the things they see the government spending money on are questionable sometimes.
But you have a country to run. It's just the same way as a household. Right? You have to decide. Okay, I make $25,000 a year. I got to figure out what do I do with this 25 as best that I can. And some people will come in and there'll be situations and you can't get it. People go, why you had that old car? That's your problem. Well, I had to do other things. I had to pay school fees. I had to do other important things. Right. So you're always going to be exposed.
Some will do the important things.
Always, well, important. Believe it or not, even important is relative. I hate to say it. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news.
That's the thing.
Y'all don't
some
come for
will
me.
say
It's
you
relative.
only make that, but yet every night you're in the strip club. And so this is what you're doing with your money, and we have to question what this is
to a certain
about.
degree. I mean, I would love to know which comparison would be on a national level and
You
what
sure you want to
expenditure
know?
and what expenditure. But
It might even be the strip
but
club.
it's the truth. I mean, we cannot afford every single thing, and there's going to be certain unfortunate situations. It's disappointing, but unfortunate situations that's going to highlight some of those gaps. So I'm just saying, there's only a certain amount of money every year.
Yeah. Let's take this call quickly, and then we got to go to a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Strachan. Farrell forced me to call back,
Oh,
right?
Lord.
Mr. Strachan, you got to enjoy this one. Listen to me, Farrell. I understand what you're saying, but you're trying to tell me now, I could go on and on with a plethora of incidents and videos, but we are paying VAT. What about the hospital? We spend millions of dollars on roads that lead us to nowhere, right? That have to be repaired every 3 days, right? Digging up pavement. They're still inefficient. They're still damaging your cars. No, what I'm saying is, we should have money for something. This is where local governance come in. I mean, we can sit and cry all day on the plantation. Give me a break, man.
Local government needs money as well to purchase these things. It just has to come from somewhere, right? I mean, they're not going to have any budgets of their own.
Well, they should. If it's real,
it's
real
gonna
local
be
government.
but it's going to be allocated.
But they should also be
overall government. Is my point.
They should
Now,
be
they're raising
empowered to
funds.
raise their own, right? That's how it works in other jurisdictions where you see it working properly. You're empowered to raise your own, right? Within reason. I mean, as you know, some parts in places where they have it, some places have taxes and others don't. Right, but you do what you have to do, and you have to make the choice. Well, I don't think I want to live here because they have this tax, and I can't afford that. I'll move to that other place, and that's the beauty of choice. But thing goes for everyone, almost, sort of. One final call. We got to go. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Hi. Good morning, caller. You are live. Are you there? Good morning.
Yeah, Dwight. I just wanted to say a quickie, Papa. The private partnership thing, what I told you about earlier, Mr. Goff. I know the government don't have enough money to do everything we need, but important things like helicopter, fire engines, ambulance, and stuff like that, or paying the teachers and the nurses. I mean, I guess that's different, but that's important too. The web shop owners, where they be who building all these courts in different places, where we have to pay them back later down in life, where they managing it for the government. It's almost like getting the draw first. So yes, we understand the government don't have enough money to do everything we need them to do, but they're trying to do what they want to do for who they want to do it for. So it's time to put us first and do some of these PPP, which you all call the private partnership thing, and buy these damn helicopters and fire engines. Keep up the good work.
Okay.
Thank you, caller.
Let's go to the break. When we come back, changing gears. We're talking with Mother's Day right here, celebrating mothers in a very special way this morning. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
To a burning ring of fire, I went down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it burns, burns, burn, the ring of fire, the ring of fire.
I've been up at Pinda and I meet him in the showroom. I said, Pinda, I just come out of a showroom in Portugal, and let me tell you something, them showroom and selection ain't got nothing on yours. Man, I like this stock of porcelain and ceramic tile you got here. What I really like is the range of sizes that come in, 8 by 48, 12 by 24, 24 by 24, and what I really, really like more than the things I really like is the price. From $275 a square foot to $494 a square foot and all in between. You can't beat that, not even with a 2x4 from Enterprises.
For fast, reliable, and impactful printing services, look no further. Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life. We stand by our quality products that is second to none. Our affordable pricing and friendly, efficient staff makes Printmasters the ultimate choice for all your printing needs. We can deliver any type of printing, banners to booklets to business cards. You name it, we can print it.
Let Printmasters bring your masterpiece to life.
Located in the Nassau Guardian Building, telephone 302-2361.
All those loans I had were so overwhelming. Fidelity's debt consolidation loan combined all my loan payments into one easy payment with a built-in savings plan that pays me unbeatable interest. It's time to make that move to Fidelity. Call 356-7764.
Fidelity, we're good for you.
Planning for retirement can be overwhelming, but with CFAL, it doesn't have to be. We offer tailor-made individual, group, and pension solutions that take the guesswork out of retirement planning. Whether you or your company, don't leave your future to chance and let the trusted hands of CFAL's experts guide you toward peace of mind and financial stability. Low upfront costs and affordable monthly payments make it easy for you to build wealth so you can live well. Visit us at cfal.com to start on your path toward financial freedom. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
Wake up, Bahamas! Join the Zonta Club of Nassau's second annual We Are Family Fun Run Walk 17 from 6 a.m. at the Montague Foreshore. Push a stroller, walk with grandma, or sprint. Just move with us. The first 100 finishers will receive a medal. Stick around for health screenings and wellness sessions. Every dollar supports PACE and the Bahamas AIDS Foundation, along with our youth programs. Registration for groups of 10 is $25 each. Single adults, $30. Kids under 13, 10. Plus, everyone that registers gets a goodie bag and t-shirt. Call us today at 807-3021 or email zontaclubofnassau@hotmail.com. See you at the Montague Foreshore on May 17th at 6 a.m.
Southwest Plaza has so many stores, I've been trying to find a sensible way to list them all. There's CBS Bahamas, the Ashai Institute, BENC Snack World, Bamboo Shack Bahamas, there, the Athlete's Foot and BTC, Games and More, John Bull Fine Threads, Alive Bahari, Dairy Queen, 700 Wines and Spirits, Sandy's Clarkson Island Luck, Starbucks and Lowe's Pharmacy, plus Marco's Pizza and Lorraine. Southwest Plaza, what a wide array of stores. Southwest Plaza, stop by today and explore.
Wake up and treat yourself to the breakfast you deserve with Wendy's new French toast sticks platter. 4 pieces of golden, crispy French toast sticks served with warm syrup, fresh cracked eggs, your choice of protein, and orange juice. It's sweet, savory, and everything. Whether you dip, dunk, or just go all in, you'll never want to go back to your old breakfast routine. Better breakfast always starts at Wendy's.
Since 1989, Joker's Wild Comedy Club has been the heart of laughter in the Bahamas. But now an era is coming to a close.
Get ready for my guy, comedian Tommy Davidson.
Tommy Davidson, along with featured comedian Kirk Green and house comedian Naughty. Don't miss your last chance to experience the magic. May 20th to the 25th, Joker's Wild Comedy Club. Admission $50. Get your tickets now at Atlantis Bahamas /events.
At Cleveland Clinic, care is everything. So when your primary purpose is to care for the world, you'd start with your community until you're accessible anywhere. You make complexities your specialties and put compassion before anything else, all to redefine what's possible. For everyone, everywhere. For every care in the world, Cleveland Clinic.
Pinda has a new line, the Sky series of porcelain. It comes in 4 colors, Sky Noir, Sky Gris, Sky Glance, and this one, Sky Azure. As the name suggests, you would think it has a strong blue component, but the blue is kind of like just a hint in the overall coloring of the porcelain. The blue feature runs more or less the center of the tile, and that's surrounded by light shades of gray. The Sky Azure, like the others in the series, needs to be seen to be appreciated. Stop by Pinda Tile and have a look at Sky Azure, one of the 4 in the Sky series.
Don't shop at Sherwin-Williams then. Don't get the best service in the Bahamas then.
The love is really, really strong in Sherwin-Williams. We don't just sell paint. We service you with a smile, good hearts, mind, soul, and body. And we love our customers as much as we love ourselves. Yes. Real talk. I'm not just saying this to impress myself. We love to go beyond with customer service. So they feel delighted to come in Sherwin-Williams because they can see Shelley or one of our other wonderful staff members We treat our customers with the respect of our boss because there are many paint companies they could choose to go to. No, baby. If they go to some other paint companies, so I gonna get this little thing at the end of the week.
We want to make sure you get that little ting, Shelley. Come visit Shelley and Dee Dee at Sherwin-Williams, Bahamas, and you'll surely find colour in every day.
Got your final look at weather for the morning, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. Your forecast for today, mostly sunny, turning fair and warm tonight. Showers across most areas. We're looking at highs around 88 Fahrenheit, 31 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to about 75 Fahrenheit, 24 Celsius. So we're expecting these conditions to continue for the next few days until about Tuesday, when there'll be an increase in shower chances. A trough near the Northern Islands expected to produce shower activity for the northern and northwest Bahamas. In the meantime, though, before we get to that, for tomorrow, Saturday, partly sunny during the day, becoming fair at night. Pretty much the same for Sunday. Still a less than 10% chance of showers. By Monday, partly cloudy across the northern and northwest Bahamas, partly sunny for the central and southeast Bahamas, rain chances up to about 20%. Then Tuesday, rain chances up to 40% for the northern, northwest, and central Bahamas, partly cloudy across most of the islands, partly sunny for the southeast Bahamas, a mix of sun and clouds by Wednesday of next week. That's your morning blend weather check, brought to you by Sherwin-Williams Paints. A little owl, well, swing by Sherwin-Williams Paints for a coat of wow. Best customer service, bold colors, and bargain prices. They've got it all. Sherwin-Williams, let's roll. And we've got your final look at traffic for the morning, brought to you by RBC. With RBC, reaching your goals happens here. We've got a few hot spots to tell you about. We've got Carmichael, some building traffic eastbound to Blue Hill Road. Blue Hill Road, a bit busy near that area, but especially north of Soldier Road if you're heading northbound on the way to Independence Drive. Independence Drive, slow-moving traffic both directions, but especially westbound towards the Blue Hill Road roundabout. Then we've got Providence Highway as you approach the six-legged roundabout northbound, Sports Center Road straight up to the roundabout. And we've got pockets along Prince Charles, especially near Soldier Road into Robinson, slow-moving traffic westbound on Robinson at this hour. That's your real-time traffic and your morning blend traffic alert, brought to you by RBC. With RBC, your ideas happen here.
Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.
in my life for all time. Mama, mama, you know
We are back with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Fenrick Sturrup, and Mother's Day is fast approaching. And in our Disability Awareness series today, we are going to be talking with mothers with some unique challenges. They either have disabilities themselves or have children with disabilities. As always with this series, Dario Charlton is with us. Good morning, Dario.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Excited to be here today. Mother's Day fastly approaching, Sunday coming. I'm very honored to have an opportunity to, put more of a human aspect on disability within our communities and have people to see those that are among us who are living with disability, whether it's personally or caring for a child with a disability. And so I'm so excited for us to have along with us today Anika Edwards, who is a mother living with a disability, and Miss Sherelle Brown, who is a mother of a child living with a disability. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning. Great to have you all with us. Wonderful.
Good morning.
All right, so Sherelle, we've had you on before. We'll get to you in just a bit, but let's Edwards. Anika, as Dario said, you are living with a disability. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so pleasant good morning to our listening audience. My name is Anika Edwards, and I'm visually impaired. I'm diagnosed with diabetic retinopathy.
Wow. And this is, we were talking about this off air, Farrell and I, you've had this all your life, or you became, this developed over time?
This actually came on in 2018.
Wow. So
Diabetes.
rather recent.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And how old would your child or children be?
I have one daughter. She's 20.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Was she an adult when this developed, or was she still in child stage?
She was about 16.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Wow. So of course, you can imagine this is incredibly difficult. Dario, you about to say something?
Yeah, I was saying that's a very unique circumstance, imagining being a mother of a 16-year-old and going through what you're going through. How was that transition experience for you?
Diagnosed, like I said earlier, in 2019. It was not an easy road, but I surrounded myself, first of all, with the help of God and my family and my friends with great support. And I was able to become resilient and dealing with my disability.
Tell us more about that adjustment period. What was that like? What did that entail for you?
Okay, actually, it entailed a lot of help from other family members and friends, like I said, especially maneuvering in new environments and driving. I now had to rely on people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And your daughter, the experience with, being a parent with vision and then without vision, and at such a crucial time, sweet 16, how was that transition? Adapt? Did she have to do some things differently in order to, I guess, adjust as well or transition as well?
Yes. Again, like I said, with family and friends, especially a great family support, I was able to, they was there for me and I was there for them.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. And thank you for that, because it definitely does take a great amount of courage. I mean, mothering or motherhood in and of itself is a task only bestowed on some of the strongest. And we understand why God chose woman as opposed to man for that task. And so, we're very honored and want to commend you for being so strong. I can only imagine now, I'm guessing as a 20-year-old, your daughter's probably in college now.
Yes, she is. She's studying at UB to be a future accountant.
Nice. That's amazing. It's stories like these that we're excited to highlight, because it shows that, we never really and truly pass anything until we are dead, but how we approach these challenges and the help and support that we have to address what others, may take for granted. it's really admirable. And thank you for that, Ms. Edwards.
Well, I would imagine
Yes, sir.
too that your daughter would probably have to take on, had to take on more responsibilities to support you, her mom, going through that transition, right? I mean, you become 16 years old, you're still kind of relying on your parent, but the tables may have turned a bit, right? And she would have had to take on a leadership role in your life, I imagine, right, Mom?
Yes, sir. Yes. She's now the mom and I'm the daughter. We always laugh about it.
Wow.
Because she drives and she assists me in maneuvering and just getting daily operations going. I'm so thankful for her.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to have a child that can step up to the plate like that and handle that.
Yes, sir.
That's
It
powerful.
is.
That meant she did her job as a mother.
Absolutely.
In the
Absolutely.
earlier rearing years.
Very
But I do have a
responsible
question,
child.
if I may.
Sherelle?
So my question to you, as mother to mother, we are raising children whether we have disability or not, whether you're neurotypical or not. So my question for you, because we're here today not just to share our stories, but to speak into the lives of the other mothers that may be listening. And so like Dario alluded to, we never pass nothing till we dead. So you may have someone on the other end of this program listening who might be currently experiencing what you have experienced or in the process of it now. And so if you had to share maybe about 3 tips with that mother who may be going through a disability or a challenge that they're currently facing and life is looking a little, what would you say to those persons listening at this time?
Okay, so for the for the mothers out there facing disabilities, future and present, number one is to put God first. And I give thanks in all circumstances, because it's God's will for us in Christ Jesus. So to put God first. Secondly, I would tell them to surround themselves with positive family and friends. Nothing negative, positive will make you resilient. Thirdly, I would encourage them to join groups or just become active to get the support that they will need, to let them know and encourage them that there is life after disabilities.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I think the key thing that she's saying right now ultimately is support, support, support.
Yeah.
But the reality is we live in a society that's based on a community, but at times they're non-existent. Our third point where she said, join a community, because persons don't realize that support does not always have to come from your family. We often hear in society, you can get help faster from a stranger than a friend. So I think that third tip was very powerful. Plug into a community that understands and connects to what you're currently going through to help with the support
And not everybody has that family support. It's just the reality of situations that we find ourselves in, right? And also, I like what you said, a community of persons who can empathize with you. They get it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a lot easier.
Yeah. So, Sherelle Brown, did you find that community as a mother with a son with autism?
So, as you already know, my journey was definitely unique and different. And discovering that my son fell on the autism disorder spectrum didn't happen here where the bulk of my family was. I was currently working in Abaco as a police officer and living on a family island, which is already magnifies the situation. Lack of facilities, lack of support. But, just to hamper on what she said, the first thing for me was my spiritual support, God, of course, and his word, to keep mentally and emotionally seen. The second thing was, looking in that community to see if there was an outlet. Unfortunately for me in Abaco, there was one, a private nonprofit entity called Every Child Counts. They did their best. But eventually, because of the lack of infrastructure and support, my family had to move away. And so I found that my community then would have been the immediate person surrounding me. Your family life is definitely going to be important. And again, the external support. And sometimes that may pull you away from your biological family. And so that's what happened for me.
Yeah. As you said, you've been here before. You told us a bit of your story, but as a mother, when Mother's Day approaches, what are the feelings that you go through?
I have a multifaceted experience. I think that I go through, one, being a mother, and two, being a daughter. And so personally, of course, every human alive had to have a mother to be conceived, correct? And so Mother's Day is, very emotional for me. My mother's birthday is May 6th and she died May 14th. And
Oh, wow.
as a matter of fact, the last day I saw my mother live was on Mother's Day when I visited her to the hospital.
How long ago was that? If you don't mind me asking.
Not a
if you wanna
problem.
share.
She died in 2018.
Okay.
And so that year
Yes.
is very significant, and
Right.
clearly for our other speakers as well
Yes.
as myself.
Mhm.
And so, in the earlier years, I spent more with my mother. And there was a situation I remember calling my husband. I was in a parking lot drenched in tears. And he's like, you got to pull this together because you're a mother and you have children who are now looking up at you. And I had to dry my face, gather myself. And I remember looking back at my daughter and my son, Seth, and Grace, who was sitting in the back seat, and my baby asking me, Mommy, what's wrong? She doesn't understand why mom is crying. And so we have to find strength in places that sometimes don't even exist. And our children help us at times to bridge that gap. Should they be our support system? Yes and no. But for me, getting through and focusing on them and not myself has been a source of strength for me.
Yeah. Dario, I know this was important to you to have this topic today, mothers with disabilities or with children with disabilities. We keep hearing it, the support system. What is the state of the support system here for the mothers with issues and with children with disabilities? What are we really looking at right now in the Bahamas in 2025?
I'm pleased to say that the community of organizations and individuals who are, throwing their hat in the race and lending support, whether it's, coming out of pocket, or they are using their time, their talents towards the different challenges or the different efforts that organizations are putting forward is really growing. And that in of itself is something that we welcome on any given day. Of course, like all things, certain, and it's probably not the best temperature to say so socially, but certain fires do dim while others tend to rage on. And so while we honor those that continue to rage on, like the Bahamas Alliance for the Blind, like the Reach Foundations, like some of the communities within the Family Islands that go nameless, we welcome a chance to support those whose light may have dimmed for whatever reason they became discouraged. We want to welcome them to reach out to some of the larger organizations because some of those organizations are looking to partner with and expand their reach. I'm pleased to be a part of a number of different organizations that support mothers, fathers, anyone with disabilities, and within that community. As this month also is Mental Health Month, we know that that pressure and that stress or trauma not only is lived by that person, but also by their family around them and their friends. Others who, would have gotten used to them being a certain way, and now a lot of pressure or responsibilities on them. And we want to let them know that there are people that are out here who care. There are people that are out here who are there, if only to be a listening ear, to provide some advice. Some of us have lived through some of these challenges and can help people to avoid some of the pitfalls that are commonly within our way. And so, as a person living with a disability, but also respectfully so being a son of a mother who's living with a disability. My mom is an above the knee amputee. And of course, she's at that age now where vision tends to evade most older people. And so she is experiencing some vision loss. I am deeply driven by her strength. I am so proud of the mother she's been to me for all. And I am taking this opportunity to wish Hilda Strawn, my mother, and all of the mothers out there a very happy Mother's Day. We love each and every one of you, despite the struggles and challenges, and sometimes despite the way in which we show our affection or lack thereof. We want you to know that we honor each of you.
Yes,
Wow,
yes.
powerful. Dario, thank you so much.
It cost me chuckle just a little bit. I'm like, listen to the shout out. I love it. I love it. Why not take the opportunity to, pay honor and respect to whom it is due? I think my question after listening to what you said would have been, I want for you to name some of those environments, some of those organizations and communities. There is someone who's listening who may not text, who may not call, but who is waiting for a plug-in, if I may, for whom they can go to find that support. I know for me, with my journey with my son, Seth, Mr. Kendrick Rule, with persons with disabilities has definitely been ever present. He's been, on my phone with text, we call, he sends emails, he's connected me to the president. And so, they help to spread the word and to lend support during our journey to the National Spelling Bee. And so I thought it was so valuable because no one else did. And so, I may not have a disability, but my son does. And it was very comforting knowing that someone was saying, hey, whatever you need during this journey, if we can help, we can. So if you don't mind just listing one or two of those organizations for persons who may be newly challenged with disabilities or who've been living it with it and in silence, who needs an outlet, could you just let them know where they can reach out to?
For general purposes, because, there are litany of different challenges that are out there. People can reach out to the Department of Social Services and speak with the National Commission for Persons. They have all of the different NGOs registered with them and can point you in the right direction. It is also very important reaching out to them to register because there are certain resources that they can provide and direct for people who are new to disability or are new to just seeking those resources. The Sandilands Rehabilitation Center has a community of individuals who are always ready to help with different challenges. And likewise, Stapleton School is another resource that people can reach out to for direct training or to be connected to some of those community groups that are out there for support. The work that all of those entities do is invaluable. Mm-hmm. And, we want to send shout out to them on a day like today, but every day, because, there's not a day goes by, they may be listed to say we're open Monday to Friday, but some of them 24 hours a day are there to support and lend a hand. And like Kendrick has done for you and so many others, be there when you don't know where to turn. Mm-hmm. And so for really highlighting that, kudos to those organizations.
Only got a couple minutes left. This person's asking on our text line, I know we're focusing on mothers, but I have a dad that is an amputee and wondering if there is a community that I can reach out to. It wouldn't be different, would it? Or is there something different, Dario?
No, it's nothing different. And that's what I'm saying. All of these communities are for anyone touched by a disability. Yeah. You or your father can reach out to the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, get him registered. He can go ahead and join the lanyard program the Sunflower Lanyard program, and also get his handicap tags for a vehicle that he may be either driving or driving in, so he can have those benefits and privileges, and moving forward, gain access to some of the things that are happening out there for persons living with disabilities.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Mother's Day, Sunday, Anika Edwards, how are you planning on celebrating Mother's Day?
Well, like Ms. Brown stated, Mother's Day is also hard for me. My mother died a week before Mother's Day.
Oh, boy. Wow.
So we usually gather at my sister's house and we mourn. Yes.
Oh, boy. Wow. Okay, Sherelle, what about you?
So for me, Mother's Day is going to be slightly different. I don't plan on mourning my mother, but I do plan on celebrating her life. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, gathering my 4 children and my 2 sisters that I would have also raised. They're sisters, but I'm a mother to them. Mm-hmm. And so outside of that, pouring into them and encouraging them, because we know the journey isn't easy as a mother, whether we all need that shoulder to cry on, or to lean on, or to vent on, as well as fathers. fathers, but we know 90% the mothers carry the load. Fathers normally are providers, and they're there for the mothers to lean on. But God's system, his plan is for the children to go to the mother and the mother to go to the husband. And so with that being said, I want to encourage, to bless, to motivate every mother out there. We know the journey is not easy, but it's going to be worth it. You know, going through is the hardest part, but getting over and looking back and smiling at those little pumpkins who will one day be adults, who will one day support you, like the 16-year-old who's caring for her mother.
In
Do
many
your
different
part.
ways.
Yes.
They turn around and support us.
Do your part. You know, the saying is once a woman or once a man, twice a child. So
And
don't.
that is true.
Yes. So God spare your life. You may be 50, 60, and 70, and how you treat those children will carry through. So
Amen.
I just want to
Amen.
encourage
We can have
you.
a whole show on that, Dwight. Amen.
I just want to encourage the mothers out there, do your best.
Yeah.
You know, that may not look like something that someone else, it may not look like a Bentley or a Coach purse, but do your best. The children know.
Yeah. Dario Charlton, this has been a great discussion this morning. You got the final word as we go to our break.
Listen, the strength of a woman, man, it's can't be measured, and we are so blessed that God Himself chose woman to be the vessel through which each and every one of us would come into this world. Happy Mother's Day to all. We love you, and we hope that all of your heart's desires come through this coming Sunday.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dario Charlton with BAPV and Anika Edwards and Sherelle Brown, our amazing mothers
Yes, sir.
on the
Always
show
a
today.
pleasure.
Thank you. Happy Mother's
Thank
Day to
you.
you and to
Thank
everybody,
you.
including my mom this weekend. Everybody have a great one. We're going to break for news and be back with our Safe and Sound series in Morning Blend Business. Stay with us.
Thank you.
You always did understand. You gave me strength to. There was so many times looking back when I was so afraid. And then you come to me and say to me, I could face anything. And no one else can do what you've done for me. You'll always be, you will always be the girl in my life. Ooh, oh, mama. Mama, you know I love you. You know I love you. You know I love you. Mama, ooh, Mama, you're the queen of my heart.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Friday, May 9th, 2025. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with Farrell Goff, and it is time for our Safe and Sound series every month here on Morning Blend Business. I'm glad to have with us, as always, Gamal Nuri with Preventative Measures. He's in studio with us today. Good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Farrell.
Good morning.
Good to be here.
All right, so we've got a very timely topic today. Emergency response management. Do you know what to do? Especially with fires and other emergencies. I'm sure you are looking at what's been happening over the past few weeks and in amazement like the rest of us. But before we get into what you should do and what you shouldn't do, from what you see, from what you know, do we handle the response to this in the appropriate way? Are our responses what you should be doing?
Well, Dwight, it's interesting when we talk about we're going to be dependent upon what you would have done beforehand, your preparedness, your readiness. Wow. And I think that's where we see a lot of questionable actions, questionable performance. We can't throw the entire blame sort on the fire department. What have you done to prepare your business, your facilities in the event of a fire? Mm-hmm. I always say emergency response starts with how are you running your business every day? if you're leaving lights on, if you're not practicing safety protocols, then you're gonna sort of prep your business in the event of an emergency. You're gonna prep your business so that the emergency escalates before there's enough time to respond. So yeah, we may have issues and questions about the response time and the response actions of the fire department, but you as a business owner and a homeowner, what are you doing to ensure that, hey, if there is an event, because fire is real.
Yeah.
I was reminded this morning that some person thought I was an AI, but, but fire is a real thing. It's hot and it burns. So it's something that you need to prepare for in advance and not wait until something happens and then cast the blame on someone else for not arriving on time or not doing enough when they did arrive.
Right. Okay. You said a lot of things just now. You said even leaving lights on. Was that just an example, or is that a thing that could actually increase the likelihood of a fire?
So, certainly, because the electrical currents are moving, and there may be a shortage. Again, there may be you have debris piled around. You may be practicing unsafe, having chemicals or things that get catalyst that fire and cause it to spread even more. So I'm using that as just different types of examples of if you're not practicing measures. They're not, then you're increasing the potential and the spread of that fire or any emergency, as a matter of fact.
I mean, probably a lot of listeners out there are kind of like me, Kamal. Like, I'm pretty responsible. I don't try to create fires, but what else could I do in my home? I mean, particularly, if I'm from a homeowner's perspective, to prepare for the unfortunate thing if that happens, right? But just prepare my home that the response teams can have a better result because of the things I've done proactively. I'm thinking, I don't know. What can I do around my home? It seems pretty safe and prepared. How do you prepare for a fire? Pre-prepare for a fire.
Right, but if you were to do, let's say we'll do a safety check of your home, right? So let's start from the inside. What type of chemicals, what type of potential combustibles you have in place? Yeah. Do you have a fire extinguisher in the home? Because that little trash fire that if you had a fire extinguisher, and certainly if persons are trained on how to use that extinguisher, then that could reduce the potential spread of the fire.
You don't just point and shoot?
Well, you point and shoot, but now you have to manage the fact that it's hot. It's not a cold thing. And I've seen people when we conduct the trainings, and point and shoot, the pass method, right? But now when they feel the heat of that fire or they get the smoke and they back off because it's a different deterrent. And of course, the emotions involved with that. So certainly, how are you keeping your home from your yard, trees, electrical fixtures? Are you managing that structure properly and making sure that you have different fire extinguishers or maybe a fire suppressant device that we're going to talk about a little later, and have those things in place. Practice the evacuation. Many times you see they run out of fear and they forget something. And hopefully it's not a human, but it may be where they forgot passports or important documents and they want to run back inside.
But you should have a drill. That's a great point.
Exactly.
You never know when you have to
activate. And have that drill and have a grab bag. So have copies of those documents, already, or certainly in the age of the cloud, have electronic certified copies available. So there's no panic. I need to go back and get this document or this heirloom, things like that. So the drill is important,
even for families.
Definitely for families. Yeah, because you have your if you're in a room separate from your kids, of course you want to go and get your kids, but they should have an idea of what to do. Yeah. Do they wait until an adult comes, or do they now evacuate? We put in security bars and we lock ourselves in at the same time trying to lock out a criminal.
Right.
But in many instances we lock ourselves in.
Trapped.
So drills, things of that sort.
Drills. There are people in offices right now who are saying, "Wow, I've been here 15 years and they've never had a fire drill." What do offices need to do? What do businesses need to do?
So that comes to the training that I'm going to be conducting on May 20th, right? That talks about what to do, the progression or the evolution of the fire marshal, right? Certainly the office members need to advocate for training. You need a champion, a fire marshal, someone who now becomes an emergency marshal, and
who works at that.
Who works or definitely works at that place. That's an employee who is going to be the champion for that particular cause. Exactly, right? And they're going to make sure that they're the liaison on a drill in 15 years. Where do we evacuate? Or do we stay? Because if it's now an armed intruder that comes in, Now we can't evacuate. We can't run out. We need to lock ourselves in. Where's the safe places to lock ourselves in? And then we put that policy in place. And of course, now we drill it because we can talk about it all day. It sounds good. It looks good. But can you make it happen?
Right.
You know, is it realistic in making it happen? And every office, certain. I know we talked about this before on different shows, Dwight. Certain entities are regulated, are mandated to do these drills at least twice a year. But in other entities, in other businesses, it's okay. Nothing happens, you know, so we don't worry about it. And
until,
then it happens.
until it happens.
Until it happens. So it goes back to my initial point. How are we running our daily operations? Are we keeping a safe environment or a safe philosophy, culture within the business throughout the year?
Come on, how do you encourage people who, business owners and other stakeholders who may be listening? While we've had these unfortunate events, this is top of mind. This is the hot topic. But next week, next month, we forget. The priority is lost. The urgency goes away. I mean, how do you encourage them to jump on this, while it's top of mind, opposed to let it fall to the wayside, and next thing you know, they may find themselves in a situation and it could, to disastrous results.
There's something called duty of care. It's in the Bahamas, but again, we're not as litigious as say the United States and other European countries and Canada, right? Where the business owner has a duty of care. I invite you into my business to conduct whatever transaction, whether it's a bank, whether it's a hospital. I have a duty of care to make sure that it's a safe environment. Hence, you see when you walk into certain businesses, there's a sign that says wet floor. That's it's a duty of care saying that, hey, we told you about a wet floor. That doesn't remove...
Right, we'll bring it to your attention so you can act accordingly.
So we highlight that. So the same thing with employees, hey, there's a duty of care. Now, the only thing that I've seen in my research that really drives it home to business, it has to hit them in the pocket. Unfortunately.
And personally, yeah.
Exactly. So if an employee, if a customer sues...
All of a sudden,
office-wide
changes.
Don't drink the hot coffee from certain restaurants. I was so amused when I saw that a few years ago, where it took that. The coffee is hot, but it took someone to hit the pocket of that business for them to say, hey, we need to manage this hot coffee thing. So businesses are going to be impacted by the bottom line. And if they're being sued, if they have fines, this is why certain industries have to do it, because if they don't do that in their business, they are fined. That's why they do it. That's the motivation.
Yeah.
It's because it's going to hit our bottom line. So we're going to conduct that fire drill. So it should be something across industry where businesses are mandated, hey, did you do X amount of drills this year? And if you didn't, this may impact business license. This may impact insurance. We could reduce that premium because you can show us that you've been doing something. We may reduce the premium, things like that.
Yeah.
So it has to be financial.
I want to ask you about drills again. Do you need to bring in a professional to guide you through it, or can you have that person in the office? I know you're going to say that, right? Can the person in the office just come up with the plan?
You do be sufficient for everything, Dwight.
Well, certainly Dwight, right?
That would be
my
preferred,
my unbiased opinion, right, is that you bring in a professional, definitely to help you create and structure that, and ensure that you're hitting all of the points. Because sometimes a fresh set of eyes and eyes that have also seen different industry and different standards can help bring a better perspective and how you manage that process.
You could be more direct, Kamal. I mean, Dwight, something like that, yes, you need a trained professional.
Thank you, sir.
The self-appointed office fire marshal can't do it, Dwight.
At least for the first one, eh?
At the very least.
At very least, the first one.
Well, for the first one and going on, I think you should bring in minimally, if it's only once a year, to review, because you get comfortable. Yeah. And certainly professionals in the industry who understand what the dynamics are and changing trends. You don't want to be this narrow view of what's happening in my business. There may be something you can learn from another entity that can assist.
And I can only imagine the amount of unintended fire hazards or possible fire hazards that could exist in an office, right? And especially those offices where they have the mini kitchen and people cooking lunchtime, and I can only
boxes with papers
of a professional walking in and what he'll see, right?
Boxes with papers everywhere, boxes on the staircase, the staircase, the emergency staircase to exit, right? Just things that people don't see.
Right? Yes.
The
storage room.
And see, again, it's more than just fire, because it could even be air system contamination. Persons bringing entities, or you're storing products in the facility, and they're stored in a space where it gets into your air system, and you're breathing that in every day, all day. 5 years, 10 years later, you find that someone has some sort of illness. So even that, and that's why the expert is important, and that's why we talk about the evolution of that fire person, that fire marshal into an emergency marshal who understands these different threats, because they hired a professional at the onset to ensure that they understand, hey, it isn't just fire. It could be the fact that we're storing chemicals in a facility. We don't have good access control systems, so there's the potential of someone getting into the business and threatening or something of that sort.
And a lot of it is unintended. It's persons just didn't know any better, right? So that's why the expert is so important.
So let's talk about some of the other things. If fire, you talk about somebody trying to enter the premises, would be considered an emergency that you might need to be trained for.
Medical emergencies. Someone is choking. Someone has a heart attack. Someone is experiencing some type of injury, maybe a slip and fall. What do you do as a part of the business? Have the staff been trained in basic first aid? And do you have the equipment there? Because you train me in first aid, and you tell me to do the CPR, and you don't have the equipment there. There's another program that we have called AVERT that teaches you how to stop bleeding, because in many instances you're so far away from a medical facility or response time. When we talk about medical agencies, they're so far away that person simply bleeds out. And if you'd known a technique simply as a tourniquet or just put pressure on the wound, and you would have been drilled or trained in that, then there's the potential of decreasing the life expectancy of that individual. You may not save the life, but it's certainly you did something. And so medical emergencies, many times you walk into a facility and you see in more of the industrial facilities, you see the AED kits on the wall, you see first aid kits. Can persons use them? Have they been tested? That type of thing. So medical emergencies, and those things would fall in line with basic emergency readiness type procedures. We talk about hurricanes to some extent, but I don't consider, in my opinion, a hurricane to be an emergency, because it's coming. Flooding. And that flooding could come not from a hurricane, but you may be on the second floor, and there's a third floor, and there's a water main or a sewage system that bursts, right? And so now you need to evacuate that space.
Evacuate. You need to know how to protect the breaker boxes. I can only imagine, if in terms of a flood, if it's getting to the point where it can start to impact the outlets and that sort of stuff. I'm sure there's some things that you should responsibly do before you evacuate.
Before you evacuate, correct. Closing the doors. Right? And that's where we see how some of these things, if they're not managed properly at the onset, they now cause the emergency to develop into a crisis, potentially a disaster, and that's where you see, loss of building, and then you jump into other types of response mechanisms.
All right. So let's talk a bit about the event that's coming up, and before we open it up to questions, tell us about what's going to be happening on May 20th.
Okay, so May 20th, preventative measures, along with its sponsors from Mouse Fire Suppression Systems, we will be conducting a emergency response management course. It's a 3-hour session, and what it does, it helps to prepare individuals for various emergencies, not just fire, but certainly the ones I talked about, air system contamination. It could be a medical emergency. So give you some understanding of what you need to do in the event of these emergencies. We talk about it, and this really came about more so. You hear a lot of complaints about the responder. The fire department, the medical facilities, the police. Just call them out as it is, right? And we may have questions, but what are you doing? What have you done? You can't put the blame totally on an outside entity which you have little to no control of. Right. You have your environment, your employees, the customers, how they come in. So we're helping you now to better prepare yourself for an emergency response. So when fire department arrives, the police arrive, medical facilities arrive, they know exactly what they need to be doing. You have someone who's the point person who can communicate to the fire department, hey, the fire is in this section of the building, we have chemicals, so now the firefighters know what they're getting themselves into. So you can't just, like I said, you can't put that total blame on the outside entity. You, as a business owner and as a homeowner, have to take some type of responsibility, and you can manage it. You can reduce
to an
the
extent, right? I mean, there's some situations that is just out of control, I imagine. So I don't know the extent of these recent fires. But I imagine there's some things you just need to get out, right? We spoke about that earlier, right? In some instances, if it's reached a point where you've lost control, just get out.
Yeah.
Right. So, and there's no challenge with losing control, but certainly you are in a position to do more. I think there's a lot more that can be done from a emergency awareness response program, and that's where we are trying to bridge that gap to minimize. So, like you said, certain things you can do, but we want to bridge that gap to increase your chances.
I mean, from the homeowners of Victoria Court perspective, though, Gamal, and I'm not one of them. I'm just projecting right now. What could they have done differently? I mean, I'm just saying, how could they have prepared? Multi-story building. I'm just saying, if I'm a homeowner, it's like a loss right there.
When we get the specifics, I would have to say that I would have had to do an investigation to find out what were you doing prior to, what were your conditions in that environment, and so then we could make a better call on what could have been done differently. But I'll venture to say this, right? From my experience, there are certain things when you go back, and there are things you could have done. And you'd be like, because hindsight is always 20/20. So there's certain things, but I don't know what they had in place. I don't know what they were doing. But I'm sure if we go back and we review, maybe there were things that the tenants, landlords could have done.
Yeah.
But I can't speak specifically to it. Go ahead.
And before we go to the break, where will the event be? And do you have to register, or is there a cost to attend? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the event will be at Cybertech, a career college on Soldier Road, and you can register by reaching out to Preventative Measures, 242-357-9949, or reaching out to me on Facebook or on LinkedIn. And the cost for that is $175 for the 3-hour session. You'll get a manual as well that'll give you references, so you can have something that you take away to help you build your program or enhance your program moving forward.
Yeah. I'll let you remind folks about that before we end.
Sure.
We're going to take a break. We're talking with Gamal Nuri with Preventative Measures. We're talking about emergency response management. We're going to get your questions in. And when we get back, this is our Safe and Sound series on Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio.
Mouse safety first. Fire here, fire there. Next minute, fire everywhere. Lord, what is this? Before things get worse, you better use mouse safety first. Use mouse safety first to fight against the fires. If you wanna save your investment, use mouse safety first to fight against the fires. Else you lose everything you invest in. It's powerful, portable and light, maintenance free. Plus it got a whole 5-year warranty. Mouse safety first to fight against the fires. Before you lose everything you invest in, use mouse safety first. This is ISO certified non-serviceable fire extinguishers. We talking fire blankets for cooking and fire blankets for electric vehicle sizes. We get residue-free fire suppression for electric panels, IT racks under your kitchen and car hoods, designed for any budget. Stop operating in a vacuum. Protect your business, possessions, or your home. For more information and to make a purchase, visit our website at www.maussafetybahamas.com.
At CFAL, we understand that a secure future is the greatest gift you can give your employees. That's why our tailor-made group pension solutions are designed to fit the needs of both large and small companies. With CFAL, you can provide the retirement you and your employees deserve, ensuring peace of mind and financial stability for years to come. Join the many businesses that have already entrusted CFAL to create the right pension plan for their employees, and you build a future for. Visit us at cfal.com to get started on building wealth so you can live well. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
It's time to give away a cruise. Guardian Media Group and Going Places Travel wants to take you on a 7-day cruise for 4 to Panama, Colombia, Curacao, and Aruba on Royal Caribbean Serenade of the Seas. And here's the best part. No visa required. That's right, no visa required. You have 4 ways to enter, 4 ways to win. Number 1, fill out the form in the NASA Guardian. Number 2, listen to Star 106.5 and Guardian Radio 96.9. Number 3, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Number 4, or make a purchase at any Going Places Travel. Entry deadline is June 27th, 2025. Drawing will be taking place on July 4th, 2025. So you know what that means? Pack your bags and get ready to soak up the sun and feel the ocean breeze. You and 3 loved ones sailing the high seas on a vacation cruise of a lifetime. Brought to you by the Guardian Media Group and Going Places Travel. Certain conditions apply. Airfare, taxes, and gratuities not included.
Throughout history, from bartering in ancient markets to the invention of paper currency, convenience has been at the heart of the way we pay. As time marched on, so have we, from barter to cash and cash to digital. Whether you pay with an online bank transfer, digital wallet, or contactless card, with digital payments, options abound. The world never stops evolving, and neither should you. Choose freedom, choose flexibility, choose convenience. The future of pay is digital. Visit us online at livedigitalbahamas.com and on social media.
Get ready for the pre-Mother's Day sale at Conant Bahamas, April 16th to May 16th. 35% off everything in the store except the AC units. Enhance your home with beautiful new cabinetry, granite or quartz countertops, PVC and hurricane impact windows, beautiful porcelain tiles, vinyl or laminate flooring. It's a 35% off pre-Mother's Day sale at Conant Bahamas. All locations, Freeport, Nassau, Abaco, and Eleuthera. Open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And on Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. The Bahamas has been removed from the French government's list of non-cooperative states and territories in tax matters after 15 years. The Office of the Attorney General confirming this in a statement yesterday. The journal Officiel de la République Française publishing a decree dated April 18th, officially removing the country from that list. The statement says the removal reflects the country's continued efforts to meet international standards on tax cooperation and transparency, and follows the Bahamas' removal from the European Union's blacklist and the OECD blacklist. Government of the Bahamas signing a heads of agreement with the Bahamas Aviation Climate and Severe Weather Network, which is estimated to bring in $427 million in investment over 3 years. Financial advisor for the network, Michael Strachan, saying at the signing this week that it marks signaling the beginning of the investment that will see the establishment of the first next-gen meteorological watch office in the Caribbean and will exceed current international standards. The network is going to provide real-time 3D visualization of hyper-local weather and will be achieved through the implementation of the MWO, that's the Meteorological Watch Office. That MWO will provide real-time weather data for the aviation industry using next-gen technology that will deliver real-time weather data to cockpits and all stakeholders in the flight chain. Abaco Chamber of Commerce President Chantal Sands is appealing for donations to help the island's firefighting efforts. Sands, in a release to the media, saying that she met with Chief Superintendent Michael Thurston on Tuesday to seek an official update on the recent bushfires affecting various parts of Abaco. She said that she was advised that the fire in Marsh Harbor has been successfully contained, particularly the Don Mackey Boulevard and Sweeting's Track areas, but she's appealing for volunteers to assist with firefighting efforts and for Abaconian companies to make donations to the fire department for supplies and fuels. And the Ministry of Tourism, Investments and Aviation announcing that Air Canada will introduce new nonstop flights from Ottawa and Halifax to Nassau. The statement says that this summer, the airline will resume flights from Montreal as well. More on that in today's Guardian Business section. Overseas, U.S. President Donald Trump today cutting tariffs on China from 145% to 80% ahead of a weekend meeting among top U.S. and Chinese trade officials as he looks to de-escalate the trade war. Top U.S. officials are set to meet with high-level Chinese delegations in Switzerland in the first major talks between the two nations since Trump sparked a trade war with stiff tariffs on imports. 80% tariff on China seems right, Trump wrote on his social media account Friday morning, referring to the Treasury chief, who has been a point person on trade. And Panasonic will slash its global workforce by 10,000 people, half in Japan and half overseas, to become a more efficient, lean company. The Japanese manufacturer is saying today the job cuts, amounting to about 4% of its 230,000 workers, will include early retirement offers in Japan and closures and consolidation of various operations. According to the Osaka-based maker of home appliances such as washing machines and refrigerators, Panasonic also makes solar panels, delivery robots, facial recognition technology, fuel cells for homes, and EV batteries for Tesla cars. Panasonic today also reporting a 17.5% drop in profit for the fiscal year through March at 366 billion yen, or $2.5 billion, down from 443 billion yen in the previous fiscal year. The company said the slowing global economy and weaker demand for electric vehicles were a factor behind its weak results, but sales of air conditioners and consumer electronics held up in Japan. Closer to home in your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX. From Thursday, your market movers, Cable Bahamas moving 3,500 shares, closing at 325, down 19 cents. Consolidated Water up 9 cents to 467, and Emira Incorporated down 10 cents, closing at 1079. The BISX All-Share Index closing at 3,052.01, down 0.20. That's your Market Watch, and that's your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. And we are back with Morning Blend Business, our Safe and Sound series. We've got Kamal Nuri with preventative measures. We're talking about emergency response management. If you have questions, you can give us a call, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Call us toll free, 242-300-5. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. All right, so before the break, Farrell was asking about what could residents in a multi-story building do. We see this in hotels, but in so many places, it doesn't seem like we've got sprinkler systems in a lot of our businesses. I don't know what impact that will play in a fire like what they saw in downtown. But do we need to be thinking about stuff like that?
Well, certainly the building codes as it relates to sprinkler systems, fire extinguishers, emergency exits may be something that requires review from government, and businesses also can take some initiative and put in those various suppression type systems or emergency evacuation systems. Mm-hmm. But I'd go back to, again, making sure that if you have a sprinkler system in place, if you're going to put one in place, what is it? Because a lot of damage from a fire comes from after the fact, from that water damage. The fact that the fire department is going to come in and they're going to wet everything.
They got to do what they got to do.
They got to do what they got to do, right? Exactly, right? So understand that dynamic, because you may want to use a different type of suppression system, similar to what we talked about earlier with the mouse suppression system, which is not a water-based system or chemical-based. So you can save some of those products, electronic products.
Spell it for
mouse,
okay.
M-A-U-S, right? And those types of systems are in place. They're not dependent upon, that water agent. Water is good to some extent, but certainly with electronics and certain types of fire, it doesn't help it. It really exacerbates the situation even more.
And nowadays, I mean, technology is just the backbone of most businesses. So
Right,
that might be that's a legitimate concern for them. If I do put a sprinkler system in place, we have a false alarm, it goes off.
It goes off.
Now all my equipment, I'm just saying that could be catastrophic, right? So it's interesting that there's this product that can serve both purposes: protect electronics and suppress fire.
Exactly.
Is that something that could be used in a bush fire scenario?
Yes, there are different mechanisms for it that can be used to be deployed in brush fires. Electric vehicles, as a matter of fact, as we see the popularity of electric vehicles, that's a different type of fire. And so again, a fire department can't come and necessarily spray that with water. They have to use a different type of agent. So Mouse also has a blanket of sort that can be used to help and suppress electrical vehicle fires. So that's important as well to understand the difference. And then that's why I say, the fire department comes, they have to understand what is berning. What is, if we spray water, does that help? Or does that, really
exacerbate the issue. Right?
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah. So calls for a lot of training, and this conversation we've been having a lot lately about separating this from the police force really is going to be accelerated few months, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that needs to be really looked at. How we ensure that there's not competing priorities between criminal action, which is in everybody's face, but fires, how frequent are they occurring, and so people have this, you're trying to weigh the two, and I'm saying that I don't know how it's weighed, but definitely there's a consideration of what do I put my resources and my training behind.
Wow. Yeah. We've got some calls coming in. You can call in, as we said, 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Dwight, yes, how you doing?
Doing well.
Hey, really, I just like to chime in on this particular topic, right? All multi-story buildings through the Ministry of Works have to pass fire code. All the doors and swings have to be to fire code. All sprinkler systems have to actually pass fire code. So there is a code in place for multi-story buildings for the government. So it's not up to them. It's actually up to the owners when they build and everything. Right? And plus, multi-story buildings before they erected by the Ministry of Works. So I'd just like to let you know, chime in and let you know that there are measures in place for multi-story buildings through the government.
Yeah, and do they have to maintain that?
They have to maintain that, and again, like I said, it's not that they don't have standards. It's about just reviewing and making sure that they're managing them properly. Yeah. Because we have a lot of things documented. You'd be surprised when you investigate. There's a law for this, there's a law for that, but are we enforcing it? Are we investigating? Are we reviewing it? Are we making sure that it happens?
Right.
And in certain industries, it's mandated, but in certain industries, it's not. Coming in 15 years after the building or 50 prior to the building being built, and you never go back and make sure it's actually operating.
Right.
It defeats the purpose.
Absolutely. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Are you there?
Yes, good morning. Hello?
Hi, yes.
Hi, good morning, Dwight, and your co-host and your guest. I'm surprised, right, our fire department don't have a ladder bucket truck. If you need to fight a big fire, you need to be up in the air. And in Miami-Dade County, have about 5 of them. They have a 2-man bucket truck. One that serves the water, and one moving the thing around. We need an FYP, the building, when the place burned down, they're bought one. We need a bucket, 2 bucket trucks, and we need at least 4 police helicopters. We spent $10 million on drones. We could buy 5 brand new police choppers. I don't know what we're doing, but we need a dedicated police chief who only know about firefighting and fire rescue. I heard the commissioner say she be in to buy fire trucks. We need a commissioner of fire rescue who be in the school for that. I know at Miami-Dade County on 119th and 32nd, you can see them practicing the fire hard out fires. In fact, at Miami-Dade, it's a course.
Yeah. Okay.
So we need something to learn to fight fire. We need a bucket ladder truck, at least 2 of them, to fight big fires.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we need a lot.
A lot of things.
We need
4 choppers, brand new. police choppers. Small things, man.
Caller, good morning. Oh, boy. Let's take these calls really quickly. We're running out of time. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, a little suggestion or a little input here. He mentioned combustible, but there is a difference between flammable and combustible, right? The flashpoint, which is easy to ignite. One could be ignited flammable to ambient temperatures, but I'm looking at you saw the wall system in a bank in some places in the world, Mr. Nuri, Kamal Nuri, where this is kind of impractical maybe here, but what about that's in the homestead? I have 2 big fire extinguishers for a reason. I have never used them, but what about putting smoke detectors on the outside, like just under the boxing areas, to alert people more quickly? And how practical is it to, given that the oxygen is always around, like say you could with some kind of sealed compartment to sense out carbon dioxide versus water and stop the fire from actually spreading, even though oxygen would be outside of the building, because carbon dioxide actually suppresses the spread of the fire. But there's no fixed solution. But the last caller highlighted the imbecility in all of this and the excuses that we make. The fact that they don't have a lot of fire trucks. We don't have a bunch of high rises, but situations do arise. And so if you're managing a country, you should be as clairvoyant as possible. You don't have the people cry hopelessly. I heard the Filipino lady and the people crying in hopelessness. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. And let's stop gaslighting one another, because it doesn't benefit anybody. Give thanks.
Okay. All right, let's take this final call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Dwight, to your guest in the studio.
Hi, good morning.
Just wanted to make a comment on the discussion about our readiness for fires and what we seem to be having a challenge with. What the public is saying, and if you listen to the last several days of the conversation about it, the public is screaming for something different. They're screaming for readiness. And the job of the politicians and the job of the administration is to respond to the requests of the public. That's all. It's not about how we want to argue with the people in charge. We're saying, from our vantage point, we see things not working out the best way to alleviate our concerns. So that's the first point. The second point is, I'm very alarmed that a good idea has been attempted to be thrown aside by saying that it will take money to establish a dedicated fire department and X, Y, and Z. And yeah, everything takes money. But the people's lives is not replaceable. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it may take some money. But right now, to have a commissioner of police who's doing a good job, but unfortunately, the office is so inundated with everything else, we can't have everything. So I don't think it's a bad idea to have a dedicated fire department. I think we'll only see improved services by the hard-working men and women of the Bahamas Police Force and, again, in the fire department. Yeah. And that's my contribution.
Okay, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so Gamal Nuri, you have the final words here. Just a quick word of advice to folks about these drills and the need to have a plan in place.
Okay, so May 20th is my quick
final word. That's where you're going to find out.
May 20th, emergency response management. We have to control what we can. Yeah, this is the effort. We can't blame government. They have a responsibility. Don't misunderstand me. But what can we do as business owners, as homeowners? So come in May 20th, 2025, from 9 to 12 o'clock. It's a 3-hour event, and we'll help you improve your chances of surviving these types of.
But you have to register.
You have to register.
And space is limited.
Yes, sir.
And don't just make noise. Take it serious.
Take it seriously. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Wow. All right. Gamal Nuri, preventative measures. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Always a pleasure. Good to see you in person.
Indeed.
All right. We'll see you soon. And Farrell Goff, thank you for being here.
Sir.
We'll see you in another capacity soon, too.
Definitely.
And I'll be back on Monday with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business right here on Guardian Radio. Don't forget, tomorrow, the anniversary of the sinking of the Flamingo. And our memories, those who lost their lives are in our memories forever. And remember, Mother's Day on Sunday. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green. Next.
Mouse safety first. Fire here, fire there. Next minute, fire everywhere. Lord, what is this? Before things get worse, you better use mouse safety first. Use mouse safety first to fight against the fires. If you wanna save your investment, use mouse safety first to fight against the fires. Else you lose everything you invest in. It's powerful, portable and light, maintenance free. Plus it got a whole 5-year warranty. Mouse safety first to fight against the fires. Before you lose everything you invest in, use mouse safety first. This is ISO certified non-serviceable fire extinguishers. We talking fire blankets for cooking and fire blankets for electric vehicle sizes. We get residue-free fire suppression for electric panels, IT racks under your kitchen and car hoods, designed for any budget. Stop operating in a vacuum. Protect your business, possessions, or your home. For more information and to make a purchase, visit our website at www.maussafetybahamas.com.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.